You're listening to Well I Laughed, Part 2 of Con Me Once, Winners and Losers. Oh, they're strong. Sorry, I meant to,
Oh my
meant
God.
to tell you that. They're
We're
kinda-
still cuts.
They're half and halves. So.
Jesus Christ.
I told you it was one of my favorite drinks. I'm ready
That's
to jump
good.
in. Is there anything else you want to say secret-wise?
I don't think so.
I think that's where we should cut it in right there.
Beautiful.
Hi.
Grant made me a really strong drink.
I did. Okay, so,
I have a beer and a whiskey Coke now.
right. Cheers, babes. Cheers.
Cheers.
And good luck.
Good luck.
Good
babe.
luck, babes. Here's the thing. It's a Saturday, which is rare for us to record on. And Saturday it's not for the boys, but it is for the college football. And I am like deeply and painfully still from the Midwest. So on days like today, I need chicken with buffalo wing sauce on it, and I need a whiskey Coke. And so when I knew we were recording later, I was like,
Can we do whiskey Coke?
and I was like, speak now if you don't want to do that. That's
love a
fine.
whiskey Coke,
But I
that's
was like, I need it physically today.
That's fair.
Like a week ago, my body needed a Pinot Noir. Today
yes.
it scratched that itch. Wonderful.
I was
This
gonna
week
say-
it needed a whiskey Coke.
I have to write a note for something that I need to tell you
I
later.
love it. I'm going to go ahead and start this part
Yeah.
then. So Nebraska played today. This was the weekend of the Purdue game, for those of wondering when we recorded this. It was tied 0-0 at half, which it wasn't supposed to be. Both like before the game and watching the game, it kind of felt like Nebraska kept... And this was very much Nebraska football. And I'm sorry, we'll speed run this. But it was like Nebraska kept like crumbling at like the last second. Not crumbling, but it's like the drive would stall at like the 22-yard line. And then we would try to kick a field goal and we'd like miss it or that you get blocked. I don't know. The kicking game's now a real
Grant's
concern.
trying to soft launch.
Like
his
sports podcast?
Sports podcast.
Okay, second story now. Anyways, at halftime, it was 0-0. And I was like, my God, if we lose this game, I'm not going to be enjoyable tonight on the podcast. Because we so rarely record during, like, on days where the Huskers play, where it's like, if you can't accept me at my Huskers lost the football game,
Then you
don't
don't get me.
deserve me at my, like, casserole, buffalo chicken, whiskey Coke, finesse-ness. And we're back. Okay, so quick little break, real quick. The dogs need attending to. That reminds me of the second thing. You just commented how I'm trying to, like, hard launch the like sports talk radio.
Yeah.
Dear
I said
listener,
soft launch.
dear listener,
Did
dear
you get
friend,
invited to join a podcast? I swear to God.
dear listener, dear friend.
Fucking.
When we were sharing this story with our friends Jacob and Lydia, like afterwards, a way of understanding that exchange emerged that I need to share with you. When I told
She's
Maya,
barking at the other side of the door.
when I told like that door,
No,
okay.
side of the door. I
Do you
just
want to
let
close
her out
that
of.
one?
I don't know if that'll help.
When I told Maya I wanted to be a special guest on a sports podcast, it looked like I had asked for an open relationship. That was like the level of like hurt and miscommunication. And Jacob and Lydia cued in on that right away. Like immediately was like, oh, Maya is not handling that news well. So no, I have not gotten invited yet. We've heard from 2 of the 8 straight men who listen to us. They've written in. So if you have any sports connections to sports podcasts, let me know.
Honestly,
Anyways.
you could probably get like Kelsey and Edgar to make one with you.
Oh, no.
Oh, you
no.
don't want to make one.
I want to be a special guest for one
Good,
episode.
because I'm not editing that.
I would never ask you to.
Thank you. I don't even know what to edit in that scenario. Oh my God. Okay. Jesus. I feel like I had things to tell you, but this week I didn't do as good of a job, I didn't do as good of a job as writing it down, and I did just plug in my phone.
I saw you 40 hours ago, too.
I know.
There wasn't a lot of life to live between then and there. Oh, I got a story.
Okay.
Sorry. So yesterday in the evening, I went to a local thrift store to get some picture frames. I
Yeah.
have some new art up on the wall. Oh, side tangent too.
Yeah.
But later, probably for Patreon or whatever.
Yeah.
So I went to Goodwill to pick up some picture frames, and I hadn't been in a Goodwill in a while. And they have a lot of really cool stuff, a lot of interesting stuff, right? A lot of like, you'd only find this here stuff.
Yeah.
And in the like little trinkets section, like
That's my
little
favorite
baby
section.
angels or whatever,
Yep.
which you have to walk through to get to the picture
Yep.
frames, there was a pristine, kind of cushy white hat with the wording "New hubby established October 2023. And I'm like, that's art. That's art.
That's like the saddest poem or something. New
for sale baby shoes never worn. Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not trying to take a photo here because I don't want like
You should have.
I probably should have.
It's a
You were
thrift
right.
store.
You've seen my phone.
I've also seen that thrift store, and it's not like someone's gonna be like, "Hey, don't take pictures of that."
Right. It was so profound.
That's
I was
beautiful.
like, happiness eludes us all. Also, but you know what? Also, it reminded me of art doesn't interpret itself. Go ahead.
There's this song. Can you look up the name of the artist? Because I did just put my phone away.
Yes.
It's like Sophia Isabel or something like that. She has a song out that's called "The Doll People," I think. I need you to fact check me because I genuinely am so bad at any kind of name.
Sophia Isella or
Isella.
Isella, Isella,
Yeah.
and The Doll People.
Yeah, it's called The
Yes,
Doll
correct.
People. I saw a video of her singing it, like, as a small artist will do, like, just, like, making a video of them, like, singing the song.
It's
to
a cool
promote
music
themselves.
video.
The video is, like, wild. And the first time I saw it, I was like, well, that was deeply unsettling. And then I, like, saw another video. Like, it just popped up, like, maybe a few days later, like, a different video, same song. And I was like, well, damn. That was actually, like, really profound, some of the lyrics. And then I saw it again, and I was like, no, I could actually, like, really get on board with this song. And then I finally added the full version to my playlist. And as I was coming home today, I, like, really got deep into that song. It was, like, fully belting it in my car. And I was like, Grant needs to hear about this. I know he's a man. And this song is really geared towards women.
So I'm in the middle of like finishing up the details for today's episode.
Yeah.
And like I'm listening to a Spotify playlist called Cool Indie Coffee Shop Music
Oh, this
Playlist.
was not that.
And she sends it to me, and yeah, with the message like, "Hi, sorry, I am gonna actually make you listen to this." And I owed her one because I talked to her 3 times about the book, The World and All That It Holds. And like when I say
even more
talk,
than that,
I mean
yeah.
just kind of like
I think you actually do owe me like 2 more songs. at
I'm sure I
least.
do. Like yell emoted all my feelings about it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can listen to it and start, middle, end, and every second in between those 3 checkpoints. My primary thought was, I don't think Maya really appreciates how much of a golden retriever I actually am.
It's like definitely
This is-
not a neurotypical
No,
person.
I'm listening to this and I go, this is the saddest thing my Spotify has played 2024. Like this is just intense and weird. Like it finished up
Yeah.
and then it queued back to Maggie Rogers.
Oh, that's a very strange transition. Yeah, it's like this whole song about like it's comparing women
You owe her one. You have to listen to this.
to the doll people. Yeah, you do. Listen to it. It'll do you good. But like the lyrics at the beginning are like, the doll people are not men. They're made of ass and glass. Their skin is made of clay and painted blue. Our heads can detach. The doll people are quiet. What is there to say? Art does not interpret itself. There are men with a day to save. And just like,
And it's just as creepy as those words suggest it might be.
it is, especially if you're, oh, they're done playing die, apparently.
The table comes apart shockingly easy.
It does. They all made it because
Okay.
they're engineers.
That's cute.
Sure. Yeah, the music video is like, or all of the videos she's made have been like very intentionally like unsettling and creepy, and it's so funny scrolling through the comments of her videos because there's inevitably just men that are like, really, like, this is art now. Like I remember when songs were really songs, and people are like, babes, that was the whole point, literally the whole point. They're like, boo, you're a woman, sing pretty songs and look pretty and don't make us uncomfortable. And it's like, babe.
Remember that comment you told me at the end of the last story
Yeah.
before we started to record?
Mm.
And it had like a name that I learned in that moment. Because
Maybe. No, I get into these kinds of songs.
Sure. But there's a lot of anger in that last description.
Yeah.
Rightfully due, but not usually the first thing you talk about.
No, I think I finally was like, I should share this song with Grant instead of Tyler, because that has historically not gone over the way I wanted with Tyler, who is also like, I just want a bop I can ski to. And it's like,
So true.
yeah.
Because I'm that same way, but I'll be like, this is really interesting. This
You
is
like
really interesting."
poems. I don't know.
As Lydia likes to say recently, he's
You're
gotten really
so
poetic
poetic
recently.
recently.
Derogatory is the undertones.
I don't know about that.
What else is going on in your life? What's happening?
It was Colorado School of Mines' homecoming this weekend. Edgar ran the 5K today, and I'll let you guess how fast he ran it in.
It was a 5K?
Mm-hmm.
Was it sub 30?
I don't know, was it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was it sub 25?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Was it 21?
1930, I think. Yeah.
That's tough.
I was like, God damn, that's fast.
tough.
And then I have another friend who I didn't even really...
19?
Yeah.
That's actually insane.
He got 11th overall.
Yeah, Danny. We all know Danny.
11th overall. And then I was like scrolling through my feed, and one of my other friends that like I didn't really know was into running got 10th.
So it sounds like it was an easy 5K. No,
I was like, what the hell is you all fucking white men with your long legs. What's going on right now?
I'm mostly torso, which is why my running pace
I
is
am mostly
slower.
torso too.
Yeah.
That's why we should only ever be in pictures with each other.
You're also roughly the same height as, oh God, I want to say his name is Luke, but that's not the correct answer. 2 days ago. What's his name? The Count.
Oh, Count Victor Lustig.
Okay, Lustig.
Lustig, that's
Okay,
where
yeah,
you
there we
got
go.
that.
Got close
Yeah.
enough.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
Well, I have like truly, other than the picture thing and the like hats, I have like nothing new to
I
report.
feel like I had other
unfortunately.
things. Oh, this is a story.
There it is.
Okay. I meant to put this in my notes and then I like didn't, and then I also never told you, but it was like, I don't know, it made me chuckle. So I scootered to the grocery store this week, and I know everyone has their opinions, and I don't need to hear about the fact that scooters are dangerous and whatever. I get it.
No, I'm laughing at, again, Paul Revere ass over here.
So remember that moment
Okay.
where you were like, Maya scootered away, and it was like Paul Revere. And so I was scootering to the grocery store. I just needed to pick up like a few things. So I had my little like tote bag, and I was scootering over there, and it's like maybe like, I don't know, like a 5 to 10 minute scooter. And so it's not like long by any means. But
Right.
there's this woman that I passed, and when I was pulling out of our driveway, she was scootering away. And so I eventually like kind of caught up to her. And she is they make these scooters now that have like seats on them, so they're almost like mopeds.
Okay.
But they're still just like electric scooters. And she at some point goes onto the sidewalk, which is definitely
You and her
a
are
no-no.
both scootering.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like, don't go on the sidewalk,
Right, it's
especially where we are, because
Right.
the sidewalk's super uneven. And so like, it's actually way safer to just stay as far over as you can, turn on your lights, and stay on the road. I found out she had just recently bought this scooter, and I had found out because
Oh, no.
I watched her wipe out.
Oh no.
And I like
Oof, my body hurts.
like hang on my brake.
I just
and
want
stop.
you to be with your mouth going wee woo wee woo wee woo.
Have you seen that video?
Isn't it a SpongeBob video?
No, I'll
okay.
tell you about it in a second. So she wipes out. I stop and like go back, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she was like, kind of like, I think she was mostly just like shocked more than anything.
And there's always a
so-
huge level of embarrassment.
Yeah, exactly. And so I help her. I like get the scooter out from under her and help her up and everything. And I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, fine." She like explained that she just bought the scooter relatively recently, and then she gets back on her scooter, much to like my chagrin, by the way, because I'm like, now we're
Love
both
the use of the
scootering.
word chagrin, by the way.
I
More
love chagrin.
chagrining
Yeah,
needs to happen in
it's
2024.
a good word.
The word of the year is 2020. The word of the year is 2024. But
What?
the word of the year in 2024 is chagrin.
Perfect. Excellent. We have a few more good months.
I think that was actually factually correct what I just said, even if it was horrific on the ear. I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
That's
Continue.
fine. But I was like really hoping that either she would stay back or whatever, like get her bearings some more so that we wouldn't be forced in this awkward situation where we're now both scootering away.
In the same direction.
So-
and she's like bleeding and whimpering.
No, she was like totally fine.
Okay.
I think she was just more shocked from like falling over
Sure.
than anything else. So I start like easing up on my like gas a little bit so I can like slow down. And she does have like a nicer scooter. I do think they go the same speed, but I
Sure,
think I
sure.
was just like, you can go ahead. You know. But she starts talking to me. She introduces herself.
Total
I'm like, hi,
Ford
nice
versus
to meet
Ferrari
you.
moment.
And then she like, what'd she say? Oh, she's like, I thought of a joke the other day, and I was like, oh Jesus, what's your joke? She,
You guys are scootering and having this conversation?
as I'm slowly getting
Right.
slower and slower over.
Biker gang
Yeah.
by accident.
She goes, what is it? She's like, what does chocolate identify as? And at first I'm like, what do you
Oh,
mean?
no.
And but then I was like,
no.
I was like, what did you say? And so she repeats it, and I'm like, oh, what? And she was like, her, she. And then she just scooters off into the distance. And I was like, that was not as problematic as I thought it would be.
Not at all.
And that was
How affirming.
fucking hilarious.
Miss her, she. That's so good.
Right?
That's so good.
And then I went the other way to King Supers.
Do you know most men identify as men ass?
Sure.
Menace?
Yeah.
Came up with that on the spot, too.
Yeah.
Oh, last thing. I saw a TikTok, and it's this comedian. And she goes, hey, so I get this question a lot, and I get it. Like, I see how I'm dressed. My pronouns are fee, fi, fo, fum. See, there's a way to do these jokes that aren't like dehumanizing
They're
and
just
inappropriate,
funny,
right?
yeah.
That are just like, oh, what a fun little grammatical thing that you just did right there. Like, there's actually so much wordplay available to us.
Yeah.
If we can get past the whole like demonize them, make their existence illegal, prosecute them. kind of thing,
Exactly.
you know?
Like we can have it both ways. We can have fun with it and also
we can have a
not
little
be
bit of
assholes.
wordplay as a treat.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
How long have you been recording for?
About 20 minutes.
Okay. That's good to know.
First, like, couple words.
Sure.
But
I
20 minutes is fine.
No, I know. I am trying to like know so I can time it in my own head
Oh, right.
for the
Okay.
story, and I didn't look at the start of the clock.
Oh,
But
you're
we
good.
can chat for a little bit more then.
Do you have things to add?
No, I saw you. I did see you 40 hours ago.
I know, crazy. For not seeing each other for like 2 whole weeks.
Well, I'm just like passing over all of like the crazy, silly little things that happen. Like Lydia and I did bring 22 students to Times Square after a red-eye flight.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was
is
crazy.
actually crazy.
But you know what's even crazier is we get them to Times Square and like the seniors are like, I want to go to Sephora. I want to go to this like Japanese squishy pillow store or whatever, right? Like,
Squishmallows.
yeah, sure.
Is that what it was?
Probably, yeah. There's 22 of them. I was like, that thing? Cool, bye.
Have fun.
Right? The sophomores, the like
Yeah.
8 sophomores we have are like, dude, you can get cake here. And
At Cake Boss.
like they got slices of cake. And I think I told you this, but I didn't tell them. Lydia was like, Thomas,
They've had
I
cake
love
twice.
these kids.
Twice today.
They're always looking for cake. You know, she still has half of a goddamn bagel like in her hand.
Like one locks to go.
Traveling
one
with
actively
Lydia is great.
eating.
Oh God, no. Okay, so then we're on the Amtrak.
Yeah.
Up past New York to our final destination.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, at this point it's like 2 p.m. and there was a red-eye flight, so I've been up forever at this point, you know. And I wake up from my nap and I stretch a little bit, and Lydia leans in and she goes, "Do you want to have a blueberry bagel?" And I go,
I need to travel with her.
and I go, what? And she pulls it out, and it's like a blueberry bagel, then with blueberry cream cheese, and it has kind of gotten to like room temperature.
Oh, you know, so it's been, like, smushed a little, yeah.
soft, and it's so
beautiful.
pliable and workable. And I was like, I don't want to take it from you. And she goes, I got it to share. Yeah, exactly. And I go, oh, okay, maybe just half of a half. Maybe just half of a half, darling. And so I'm like, oh my God. And like, I'm literally like, I just woke up from a nap. I have a blueberry bagel with cream cheese in my hand, and I look out the window, and it's the fucking ocean just right there. And it's 2 p.m., and all the children are asleep in the same train car.
Yeah.
So everything's just like tranquil and perfect. And I finish it instantly, and then Lydia goes, do you want the second part of your life?
Oh,
And I
I
go,
love
yes,
her
yes,
so
I
much.
do. I can't say no anymore.
It feels like when we were on the train with
Yes.
Danny and Tyler.
Yeah.
They both passed out.
100%.
Like,
Every now and then it's nice to be babied by the people who you love and trust the most, aka your
Yes.
friends. Because then I ate the second half, and then I like cleaned myself up, and then continued to read for like the next hour as
That's
we like continued.
beautiful.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
actually a fantastic time.
oh, Maya, hello, Maya, cut this.
Are we cutting back in now? Or are we cutting back
We'll cut
out?
in right now. We'll
Okay.
just let them guess what I told
She's
you.
learned a lot about me in this area. Go ahead.
I
I'm
learned a lot
both
from
excited and
Grant
terrified.
in that I don't need more friends. So I don't need to pretend to like you. If you're going to say something that I find problematic, I'm just going to say something about it.
I'm just gonna, in case you're listening at home, wondering if you too need to take that advice.
Do it.
Everyone's number is different. I came to that conclusion when the guest list for my like birthday party and like garden parties hit 50. When there was legitimately 50 people in this city who I would like to see at my house and whose coat I would be willing to throw into the guest bed. At that point, I was like, okay, we can maintain this list.
Mine is more of an emotional list.
Yep,
That like,
yes,
if,
it is. Yes, it is.
If one more person texts, not even if they text me, if my friends text me like, hey, we should hang out, I'm like, thank God, I know you still like me. But if it's like, I feel like I need to text you, once that, I'm like, I can't genuinely bear to have another person on that list that I need to like mentally remind myself to check in with.
Your
That's where I'm at.
universe,
Yeah.
your universe
Mine
is the 9 people in our group chat and Brian from Trivia. To give you a little backstory as to what I'm referencing, we went to Trivia a couple weeks ago, and there was a large group of us, and of course we all run on GST, so we arrive a minute into Trivia already, and I'm like scanning for a table, and this kind man named Brian is like, hey, do you want, like, my group didn't show, like, you're welcome to hang out with us.
This is your fault.
Well, I was the first one to arrive for a 7:00 trivia at 7:01. So I think that blame is shared communally. Also, not blame, like Brian is great. But I was like, there's a lot of us. Are you sure? And he was like, yeah, that's fine. Then 13 of us showed up. And
Brian's now part of our friend
right.
group.
And Maya immediately goes, Brian, let me get you added to this group chat. And then Lydia was like, fun, who is this?
It's even more funny because, Tyler can't handle another group chat.
No.
Because
none of us can,
he
really.
kept putting, like, things for his personal life in that group chat. And I had to text him privately to be like, by the way, you put that in the trivia group chat with Brian, which is, like, fine. And
if you
I
want
like
Brian to go to your christening, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. I just want you to, I don't think you know that you invited him.
Right. Go back a couple days. That's that.
And Tyler was
chat.
like, oh, well, I mean... Yeah, I like it's fine. I didn't realize it. But
Brian's
okay.
like, Tyler's like, oh, I should text less. I can do that.
Yeah. Brian is great. But it's not just those 9 people. This friend group is relatively easy to maintain because
we like each other and communicate with each other regularly.
Yep, and I can just show up at Jacob and Lydia's house now whenever. It's all.
But when I break into your house, suddenly you're like, "What are you doing in here?" And I was asleep
because you didn't text me either.
It was 2:30 on a Friday.
I was taking my lunchtime Friday afternoon nap. Which, by the way, my heart was pounding so fast after that, I could not go back to sleep.
I had also texted you legitimately 12 minutes earlier, and you had responded.
My eyes had just shut when I hear the door open. I'm like, there's a break-in.
No more sunlight than at that exact moment, and you had just communicated with me. And we're 3, codependent. 4, I have a code to your door. And 5, you were on my way to the place I told you I was going to with a gift I told you about.
But you never like, hey, I'm going to drop that off tomorrow. Or,
no,
hey,
it's called
I'm on the way to...
serendipity. It's called being whimsical.
I'm truly not mad about it at all. You can come in literally
Come
whenever.
talk to me when you've thrown a wine glass off of a balcony.
Yeah, I do have questions about
Shout out Dollar Tree. They don't break. They don't. It's all the lead.
Good. So found out we have lead pipes here, apparently.
Yeah, duh. Yeah. You're on the west side of Denver. I mean, I don't anymore, which is like really ironic because I'm the only one that doesn't care about it. But yeah.
We're getting. Well, I didn't know until we got a letter that was like, by the way, we're fixing the lead pipe situation. And Casey and I were like, the what?
Even after they fix it, we know Lydia's not going to be drinking the water, but then she will, and then she'll feel bad about it, and then she'll buy ice.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I am deeply eager for this story.
Okay, I'm ready.
Can I start it?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to say though beforehand?
No, I'll probably interrupt you midway through the story.
Okay. Oh gosh, I'm so excited.
He's very excited about it.
It's like since like single digit episodes for us, like episode 8, 9, 7, where I was constantly.
Why did you say them in that order?
Because I started at 8 and I realized how that was way too high. I should have started at like 4. But like in those early days, you and I kept talking to each other about our episodes before the episode. Yeah. Because we didn't know what we were doing and we were just excited to talk about our little Roman empires, which makes an appearance in today's episode, by the way.
Your Roman Empire or the Roman Empire?
I'm not going to give you any context for that. And then we've gotten a lot better at like keeping things a secret. And then we'll have we love all of our stories. Don't get us wrong. I think that comes clear. But there's some that like capture us. And in a lot of ways, this episode has captured me.
Hell yeah.
So I'm going to get started.
I love this.
I'm like trying to like get the right breath in. Even I want to treat the story with that kind of like respect.
It's like when you like show someone a song, but they don't really listen to it for the first. Yeah. You know what it feels like now when you're like.
I responded
so anyway,
right
I have
away.
a lot of things to
and
say.
then all of your Instagram videos, and you had sent me a library of videos. We do this to them all the time, which is like, okay, now we're gonna start the story, and then we still spiral for like 5 minutes. Are you ready to go? The start of this is not the story. Here's the thing: you can root for this person, kind of. Yeah, for the most part, yes, you can root for this person.
The theme is con me one, so.
But you can root. You can root for this person. But I'm going to start off with a really intense opening sentence. Okay. Opening kind of like 2 paragraphs.
Yeah.
Okay. Here it comes. On June 3rd, 2017, the U.S. federal government arrested the woman by the name of Reality Winner. Is that ringing any bells so far?
Yeah.
Shit.
Just literally not because I've read any emails, but because I have seen that name pop up on the screen.
Okay.
That's it, though.
An Air Force veteran, then working for a defense contractor. The charge? Removing classified material from a government facility and mailing it to a news outlet. 1 year later, on June 21st, 2018, Miss Winner accepted a plea deal and was sentenced to 5 years and 3 months in prison. The longest prison sentence ever given to someone for leaking documents to the press.
Oh my gosh.
6 years after her plea deal, on August 16th, 2024, our email, wellilaughdpod@gmail.com, received a message. The first line, greetings, Grant and Maya. The subject line, oops, I committed espionage. Today, my dear listener, I'm going to share with you the story of Reality Winner. Some call her a freedom fighter for a just cause. The U.S. government calls her a convicted felon. We call her a fellow listener.
That's so wild because I've seen that
Yes.
the title, but I've never opened the email.
Good, because you're like, Grant will take care of this.
Yeah, literally. It's literally my entire approach to our email.
Are you ready to go?
Is Reality Winner her actual name?
A great question that gets answered in the story.
Okay, cool.
But this is a real person who has emailed us.
Who listens to our podcast.
Who listens to our podcast. Potentially listening to this very episode. Okay.
That's crazy.
I'm going to take a deep breath and then we're going to begin.
Okay.
So this story starts, like so many things in America's 21st century, with the terrorist attacks of September 11th.
Jesus Christ,
I was wondering
Grant.
when you were going to break the seal. Literally in one paragraph I go, it's another excuse for me to talk about my memories.
9/11!
Okay. So, this next
Jesus
line
Christ.
after that comment.
Yeah.
The attacks are deeply traumatizing to all Americans.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. But in a way that I think a lot of people like struggle to remember anymore. Like, I'm not here to tell people how we're supposed to process our collective trauma or that like humor is an inappropriate way to process that trauma. I'm not trying to suggest any of that.
Talk to my therapist if you think humor is an inappropriate way to process trauma.
Interesting. I thought I was your therapist.
I've been directly instructed by my therapist to not say her first name because it's a unique first name.
She's a listener.
They could probably find me. No, I hope not.
That's a plot for the book Charm Offensive, by the way.
A therapist and they fall in love with their therapist? Or?
I'm not going to tell you more. You just have to read the book. Anyways. So
has it been returned to the library yet?
No, I'll circle back. I don't know. It's caught up in that whole relationship thing with our friend and, you know. Okay, so anyway, so 9/11 deeply traumatized to all of Americans.
Indeed.
Like, again, like in a way, I don't think people truly appreciate or can contextualize today. Traumatizing, it results in this surge of both patriotism and xenophobia.
Right.
Right? Like people are super angry and basically blame anyone who doesn't appear to be like a white American.
Yeah.
There are dozens of documented cases of people of South Asian descent, Middle Eastern descent, kind of any kind of descent that's not
if
like
you're
white
racially
appearing.
ambiguous.
Right. It's the U.S. government the U.S. military sees a surge in recruitment that year, and they have never had a better recruiting year since.
Really? 2002?
Like the 2001 to 2002 like cycle
Okay, yeah,
specifically,
yeah.
like saw the biggest increase in recruitment to the U.S. government. Reality Winner, fortunately,
Recruitment to the military.
what did I say?
Just the government.
Well, I mean, one and the same if you ask me. And also any civics quiz. We were all super patriots for a little bit. The U.S. Armed Force. Okay, saw that. For Reality Winner, the attack happens when she is 10.
Oh, wow.
So she is only like a year and a half older than me. She's born at the tail end of 91. I'm born in 93. So there are a couple of moments where, because we belong to the same kind of like subgenre of millennials, like I get her, and I think you're going to really get some of the things too that are just maybe more specific to our generation.
Right, yeah.
So she comes up in a time not able to join the armed forces initially, but the September 11th attack really kind of sparks like an awakening in reality, and she has a lot of conversations with her dad around this time period. Here's what I wrote.
Cool.
So she's unable to enlist in the armed forces because obviously she's 10. Do you like that delivery?
I don't know what I was expecting.
I'm like very serious, like out here like lecturing, like arm waving.
Because like she's a woman, or because she's like on antidepressants, or like all of these other reasons that people get.
10.
Yeah,
10 years old.
She's a child. Okay, cool.
And then that's just fun. But she is able to have long conversations with her father.
Right.
She and her father are very close. In reality, Winner is her real name, given to her at birth by her father, who was Mr. Winner. Winner is their legitimate last name. Reality is the only first name she's ever had. Like,
I definitely thought that was a chosen name.
Yeah, in a lot of the sources I saw in both of the movies, which we'll talk more about later.
I wish I could win reality like that.
Fun.
Thank you.
Fun. You think you're as good as Sydney Sweeney?
No.
That's okay.
I don't have those.
You have other gills. Actually, really ironic that you mentioned that.
Oh.
Tune in 4 hours for the answer. There's actually a lot of information we're about to tell you. It's really fun. It's good. It's good.
Be a 5-hour episode.
Maybe. At one point, I was like, "Oh, should I have made this a 2-parter?" It's too bad. Okay, so she's having conversations with her dad. She's becoming super curious about the world. Her dad is super politically involved, and her dad is like a skeptic of authority, like doesn't tolerate racism, like raises her to be, free thinking, independent, form her own opinion, things like this, skeptical of authority, like cautious of like when you're being lied to, things like that. Towards the tail end of her teen years, when she's still in high school, she starts to study several languages. She starts to study Arabic, Dari, and Pashto. Wow. 2 of those languages, Dari and Pashto, are specifically spoken in Afghanistan. She's just super curious about the world.
Yeah.
And whereas the September 11th attacks seem to have provoked like anger, rage, racism in a lot of Americans, for her, it provoked curiosity, like an attempt to understand both the conflict and the world.
Child, right?
Yes, 100%.
Like it's not just like a gross negligence.
Like, I'm going to put my bias on the table right now. Like, the more and more I got into the story and the more that I read about her, read interviews about her, watched movies about her, the more I recognized degrees of us and our friends in her.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%. Wow. Yeah, no, I think like legitimately.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
After graduating high school, she enlisted in the Air Force in 2010. She will serve 6 years in the Air Force. Her main mission is to listen and translate chatter picked up by foreign intelligence. The translations she provides helps lead to airstrikes and attacks against targets. A lot of them. So many, in fact, that she's awarded the Air Force Commendation Medal. Quote, this is now on her commendation. For aiding in 650 enemy captures, 600 enemies killed in action, and identifying 900 high-value targets. And at least one of the movies, and it was hard to get into kind of some of the work that she did specifically because it was, I think, still partially top secret.
Yeah.
But in one of the movies, Winner, she's like actively kind of like live translating or like translating things like very quickly after they get it.
Yeah.
She'll like she'll listen, and she'll notify if it's like, hey, like this person said they're going to that place that you wanted me to listen for,
Yeah.
like etc.
Okay, yeah. She's like listening for keywords.
Yeah. So she's good at her job.
Yeah.
She's in the Air Force for 6 years, which is longer than a traditional recruitment window lasts for, right? She learns 3 languages, which is like highly valuable. She goes straight from high school into college to work this job, and she's good at it. She
Wild.
gets a medal. But the job is incredibly hard on her for a number of reasons. What seems clear to me personally, in all the interviews I've read, movies I've watched, documentaries I've viewed, and in my own personal emails with her, is that reality is a deeply empathetic person who cares deeply about the vulnerable and the unprotected, particularly animals. The work brings Reality Winner face to face with some truly horrific things. Airstrikes connected to passages she translated.
Oof.
The deaths of people you helped geolocate.
Oh.
And I'm not trying to suggest that she necessarily mourns the death of everyone connected to her work,
Yeah.
but I do believe that was kind of hard for her.
Yeah, that's got to be difficult to like be emotionally invested in something and then
Yeah.
know or witness something horrific.
She, I think, joins the armed forces. Now, this is a bit more conjecture of me, like, kind of reading from sources. I think she joined the armed forces because she is interested in that region. She's interested in, like, conflict resolution.
Right.
And she's concerned about some of the, like, goals, aims, and worldviews of those organizations. And I think that was in contrast to a lot of her coworkers in the Air Force and in the translation services who are like, G.I. Joe, like, hell yeah, let's get them, like, airstrikes, bomb them, you know, like all of the most offensive and occasionally true stereotypes about people in those positions, right? That doesn't seem to fit her
at
MO.
all. Yeah.
I don't think, I mean, I think I kind of know for a fact that like the amount of death that she is connected to weighs
Bothered
on
her,
her.
yeah.
Yes. But then also the amount of, I can't get ahead of myself. Because a specific, do you ever have that happen when you're in a story where you're like, but no, so what's so interesting about that is like, but no.
It's usually when you ask me questions where I'm like, Grant, I can't tell you that yet.
I literally can't. That's a great question, and I'm glad you asked, but yeah.
Wait, be patient.
Exactly. Because I'm like, in my head, I've actually taken like a lot of time, like specifically structuring the story.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I want to, but I was like, no, that's in 3 paragraphs.
Yeah.
There's like a whole quote at this point we got to get to. Okay. Because in addition to those experiences where like her work is tied to death, she also has access to information that the public does not. Specific information, secret information, stuff like that's not reported or is obscured by a larger simplified media narrative.
Okay.
One colleague, quoted in New York Magazine, shared that Reality Winner was incredibly disturbed by the rise of ISIS. To quote the magazine article, and her friend, who she met in yoga, Keith Golden.
Wild.
This, I know. It'll make more sense in a second, but when I first read that part, I was like, what? It makes more sense later, but right now I'm like, what? Like, you're translating Pashto, helping coordinate
and
airstrikes.
also going to yoga.
And like that's where your closest friend is, right? It makes sense once you get like the fuller picture, but in that moment you're like, what? And that's actually, I think, one of the things that I've always like, I say always really appreciated. I really appreciated about Reality as like you kind of like dig more of her. She's like a complex character that refuses to fall into any one specific stereotype, but like in a way that feels genuine and like interesting. Not like I'm not like other girls or I'm not like whatever. Like everything feels so genuinely authentic to her, but it's not a person that I have ever fully met in my own life.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what her colleague, Keith Golden said, from yoga, quote, "She was really, really passionate about Afghanistan and stopping ISIS. She would go to lunch, and that's pretty much all she would talk about. She was despondent that ISIS was the way that it was, that we can't do anything to help the whole situation, that it's so fucked up."
Wow.
End of quote. And I think what I want to remind you guys in on, she can only share her frustration about the things that are publicly available.
So she knows a lot, and so this person is
100%.
commenting on what she's been able to tell.
Not only does she know
Yeah.
a lot, like obviously she's super in tune to what's being shared publicly in the news,
Yes.
both from like Fox News and like Al Jazeera. If it's been like publicly reported, she can talk about it.
Yes.
But she also then has like listened to individual conversations and like
Right.
personal motives, and she has access to like war crimes and deaths committed by ISIS that isn't being reported online, right? And I think
Yeah.
that fuels a certain level of like anger and frustration. And I also think what becomes kind of clear during her time in the Air Force, I mean, she spends 6 years in the Air Force from 2010 to 2016. I think she feels ultimately really frustrated by her inability to do more to help the situation.
that's rough.
She's continually looking for a way to get to Afghanistan. Like, if she can kind of just like get there and like be a part of it, like she could help.
Because she's really
more.
just in like the intelligence.
She's like outside of Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's like in like Bethesda, and then she's in like
Yeah.
Georgia, and she's like kind of up and down the East Coast. But yeah, like she's in the U.S. She drives to like an office park, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she's
She's working a 9 to 5.
Yeah, she's instructing like a CrossFit class, and obviously,
Working 9 to 5,
what a way
trying
to make a
fight
killing,
terrorism.
and that killing is terrorists, and that's okay for our national goals right now. It's the whole verse Dolly never released.
Yeah. That you wouldn't know though. We've talked to her.
I'm sorry, we're going to come back to the story in a second. Just skip 30 if you don't want to hear a funny little anecdote. There's this guy who took his girlfriend to Philadelphia, Mississippi
Yeah.
to watch one of Dolly Parton's few live performances because she was performing at like this museum that was opening.
You watched the reel I sent you.
Oh, is that where I got that
It
information
was
from?
Albuquerque.
I have consumed so much information from the like 12 reels that were waiting for me.
There was one where this guy, he was
And it was-
on
yeah,
a
you tell
podcast
him.
and they were like, what's the sweetest thing you've ever done? And he was like, so I had this girlfriend or partner and I was like, pack a bag. And she was like, where are we going? And he was like, don't worry about it. And so he told her to pack like maybe like a cocktail outfit, maybe
Right.
like all this stuff. And then he drove her to JFK and they had a drink and she's like, so where are we going? And he was like, no, like you'll find out. And then I think it was like Missouri or something, or maybe somewhere in the South. I'm not
Birmingham,
sure.
Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
I just saw it today.
Yeah, but you just said somewhere else.
Philadelphia,
You-
Mississippi.
Yes. Okay. Anyway, so they go to Birmingham,
The
Alabama.
disappointed look in your face that I was still regionally correct. Just an immediate dead eye, just an immediate.
And so
I
she's-
listen to you. I want you to know that. Like, I'm never not listening to you.
So she's trying to figure out what's going on there, and then they like rent a car and they drive, and then eventually it's revealed that he's taking her to one of Dolly Parton's one of her like last performances, I believe. And so she's like, this is really great. I wish you would have told me those so I could like pack the right outfits. And he was
Right.
like, well, shocker, I have this bag with me that I told you not to open previously, and I asked your best friend to pack
it, right.
everything that you would
And that's
potentially
the big reveal.
want.
Not only have I
Yeah.
secretly surprised you with a Dolly Parton concert, but I actually have managed to find a way to
And
get
arranged
you
all the travel.
exactly the
What-
outfit
yes,
you would want.
and
Yeah.
the outfits that you would want for that experience.
We have
Yeah.
people in our life who've experienced something like that. Do you want to take half a guess as to who it is?
Lydia and Jacob.
Of course.
Yeah.
Lydia looked at Jacob one day and she was like, I am taking care of our like travel plans. Okay, so just
Wait,
be
howling.
and she was like, I've taken care of all the travel plans. You just need to wake up. And she like Lydia was like,
Yeah.
I even packed your bag. I know where all your documents are, so if you need your documents or anything, like I got it
I
taken
got
care of.
it.
They were
Yeah,
leaving
don't worry
together.
about it. Yeah.
And so they got to the Seattle airport, and it was then she handed Jacob the ticket, and they celebrated one of their anniversaries in Alaska.
That's really cute.
I know, it's like gross. They love each other. All right, so shall we get back to a
Yes.
reality
Yeah,
winner?
Yeah. An espionage.
Okay, so the work is hard on her.
Yeah.
She's learning a lot of information. And it's clearly kind of fucking with her a little bit.
Yeah.
Trigger warning, no specifics in the next quote, but death is mentioned. If that's not something you want to hear, plus 30 now. One example came in January 2015
Okay.
when ISIS militants captured a 26-year-old Jordanian pilot and then graphically executed him,
On video.
filmed the entire
Yeah.
thing, and published it. Something that she saw both as part of her work and just as a person following a lot of the news around this
Because
topic.
at that point, I think a lot of it was still censored, right?
A lot of it was, or like news outlets weren't running it. You could find it,
you could
but
find
you weren't.
it, but
it
they
wasn't,
weren't showing the full video if they were
right.
showing it at all.
And there was like a handful, and it focused a lot on like Westerners. But obviously, like
Yeah.
she
She knew about the Jordanian.
I'm not going to talk about it, but it is horrific,
Is
and I
it
did learn about it.
Jordanian like Africa or?
Yeah,
Okay.
Jordania is in like Middle East, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It deeply upset her, and it also at the same time like filled her with fury in the way that he was treated,
Yeah.
this pilot. And so this quote then it comes from her yoga friend, Keith Golden. I know, it's so funny to say ISIS terrorist group, horrific execution, yoga friend. Like,
Yeah.
there's a little bit of cognitive dissonance here.
Yeah.
I will explain the yoga thing in a second, but here's the quote. Getting out of work, I felt such... Oh, sorry. Let me back this up real quick. This is a literal email that she sent her yoga friend, Keith Golden. Getting out of work, I felt such a rush of emotion that I had been suppressing throughout the shift. I could not escape or allow myself to put aside the thoughts about the Jordanian pilot. I spent hours playing mental chess with the world. Who should strike first? Hardest? What message should be sent? Revenge, etc. So on all fronts, I just felt really helpless and overwhelmed. Naturally, my thoughts had turned to yoga because it's the means by which I can really understand and acknowledge powerful emotions and put them aside to gain more clarity and peace. But I didn't want to just hide in asana and meditation because it made me feel good. In the pain I felt, I did not want the moral to be compassion and forgiveness.
I want to clarify earlier when I asked Grant about what Georgian, I said Georgian because I thought he said Georgia. Jordanian.
Which is
like
also in the
Jordan.
Caucasus, north of Turkey.
Yep.
Okay.
Either way, I
Vaguely
was
European.
confused.
Or fully European, depending on who you ask.
Geography was never my strong suit. Anyway.
It was actually one of... Sorry, the microphone was in my neck. It was always like one of my best subjects. The second time's twice as nice. Yeah, Jordanian, as in
Jordanian, yes.
on
Jordan.
the Mediterranean
Yes.
coast. Yeah.
Yes.
Reality Winner would turn to her mom during this time and confess that her work might be giving her post-traumatic stress disorder,
Wow, yeah.
PTSD. I know.
That's intense.
You'll see teachers experience something like that sometimes for like what's a hard job, but nothing like this, right? Like just like a mental exhaustion and also like a constant like jacking up of your cortisol levels and things like that. The difficulty and the ironic thing a little bit, since you guys kind of know at least part of the story that hasn't been told yet, the ironic thing is that she couldn't actually go see a therapist or really talk about it with anybody.
Because it's all secret.
Right, it's all top secret. And so it's
even
espionage.
if it's top secret, you can't talk to a medical professional about it, even
Can't
though
talk to
they
your
like
parents,
have.
can't talk to your spouse.
Well, like, aren't there like legal things protecting?
Sure, they can't. So that like patient-client privilege,
Yeah.
they can't bring it
but
up
they could
in.
okay.
Right, they can't bring it up in like a court of law. That's patient-client privilege.
But they can still like talk about it with that because like HIPAA, they can talk about what's going on, but not the name or the name
Right.
and not what's going on.
And not with top secret info. With top secret info, it's like you, Maya Warner, are the person we trusted with this information. That ends the list. You
would
can't talk to
think that,
anybody
like,
about it.
They would then at least have like provided professionals that they could talk to who had that kind of clearance.
I don't want to speak for veterans or the
Yeah.
ones currently enlisted, but I think our armed forces for how well funded they are by our country
Yeah.
are shockingly deficient in like
mental
mental health
health
services
services. Yeah.
and also like the facilities to report things when you are being negligently treated,
Yeah.
either emotionally, physically, sexual
Crazy.
assault, etc. Yeah,
That our
I know.
tax dollars aren't going to that.
I know. We don't have health insurance, but we do have like 18 stealth fighter jets. But the people who help make those possible, like just eat a spoonful
Yeah.
of protein and just
they're
like
like,
kind of
"Oh, let's go."
white. I mean,
White knuckle it, yeah.
yeah. And there's also, I mean, the amount of times that you and I could tee off in completely separate
Yeah.
things, but there's an element where it's like, this is why the armed forces, once you exit the armed forces, that population experiences homelessness at a much higher rate.
Yeah.
Because
They're
you
not
are
fit then to work a 9 to 5.
right. And then they can get there,
Yeah.
but they've just been through a traumatic experience.
They don't have the resources to talk
Right,
about it.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a whole thing, but that's a huge part of it. And so she's not going to a therapist. She's not talking to her parents. She has a boyfriend at the time. She's not talking to her boyfriend about it.
Yeah.
She is not sharing the information that is driving her crazy. What is she doing? Working out like 3 times a day. She is filling journals with notes. She is meditating. She is taking CrossFit and also teaching CrossFit.
She's like doing everything she can to not think about it.
Correct.
Yeah.
In the movie Winner, and I don't know how much of this was like dramatized to portray this time period or how much of it was actually
Crazy
true.
that there's a movie about
2 and a documentary
Okay.
and a stage play.
4 films and productions.
And so many like news articles about it all.
Wow.
But in it, there's this section where she's like, if I can hold my breath for 2 minutes, then the guy deserved it. Right? Like if I can bench press 200, then like ISIS doesn't like whatever. Like she basically takes all the information she is getting and then channels it through herself and gives her like very specific goals. And at one point, this guy who in the movie will ultimately become her boyfriend for a little bit. I didn't chase down this lead. It didn't feel important for the story, but I think it helps provide context for it. And Reality was friends with not friends, but maybe friends, I guess. Reality worked with the star of Winner, so it's not like she like disavows it or anything like the movie, but basically it was like this guy was like, hey, like that was a great CrossFit session. Do you want to go get like coffee or anything afterwards? And she's like, can't, sorry, I'm taking the next session too. Right? She's like doing back-to-back fitness things.
I run into those people sometimes at F45, but I don't think they're going through what Reality was going through. I think they're actually just like, they're like, I think I could do it.
Yeah. And instead, like I think she enjoys the workout because she's like jacked.
Yeah.
She's like,
Yeah, I can imagine if like 2 CrossFit in a row.
She was working
insane.
for the U.S. military at the time, and let's just say I was glad she was on our side.
Yeah.
Where was I? Yep, there we go. Okay, so for people with Reality Winner's position, also I'll call her Reality Winner and Miss Winner, or just Winner, like at various points throughout all of it. I've never met her in person, but she's like chatted and we've signed off emails with like Grant, like Reality, right? So it feels like I have the ability to say like her first name.
Also,
Winner is like official.
I always make a point to only refer to people or try to only refer to people by their first names in stories.
It makes it feel more personal.
It makes it feel more personal. Also, just like because there's that whole thing where people tend to refer to men by their last names and women by their first names.
Right.
I just would rather refer to everyone by their first names instead of like.
Well, especially when you do like a family episode or things where like a lot of people have the same last name. And a lot of my notes, I just typed RW. And now that I'm reading out loud, I am finding myself just saying Reality Winner out loud. Okay. So for people with Reality's position, it turns out to be really hard to feel like you're helping people. Saving U.S. soldiers' lives usually requires violence.
Right.
And failing a translation or feeling like you could have done something more or quicker can result in U.S. soldiers being killed or injured. So what you have are a lot of highly, highly intelligent people. I mean, they speak a language that almost no one else in the U.S. speaks, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you live enough time in Denver, and I think this is true for other parts of the Western United States, but like you spend enough time in Denver and you pick up just like a little bit of Spanish just to like move through interactions sometimes.
Yeah, if you're like far enough north, you pick up Canadian French.
Right, 100%. I mean, that's what happened to our friend Wyatt. No, I'm kidding. He was just born with the skin of a porcelain doll. So
was
he
like,
has to
I'm
speak
gonna
French.
learn how to speak French, but not
that
French.
No, accent French.
Yeah.
Like someone coming to America to learn Southern American dialect English.
Like deep Southern.
And it's always your like smartest friends who make the weirdest choices like that, you know?
Cool.
And it's not that he couldn't get into France, it's that he did get into Quebec.
Good.
I mean, you know.
No, it's true. It's
and
like,
it also explains why Wyatt is in our lives because Tyler's in our lives. For those of you trying to connect the dots at home, because you are a follower of the multiverse that is our cinematic
Wyatt
universe.
went to mines as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. He's a smarty little pants. He's a smarty pants. Also, just like fantastic skin. Like he'll never age, and that's so upsetting.
It's really true.
Yeah.
I don't think about people's skin that often.
I do when it's that good. I'm like, oof. I mean, you also have not cracked and never will. Like, I'll die young and you'll be 103.
My ex-boyfriend at one point, it was like This was not meant to be creepy. Like, he fully knew when he was saying this. He was like,
This whole story started because I was like,
Yeah.
these people speak Pashto, which no one else in the U.S. does. I want to know this though.
Yeah.
Please do. I'm just laughing at the connection.
No,
Keep going.
no, my ex-boyfriend, this was like said completely in jest. We were like totally on good terms. And he said this like not ignoring the like creepiness of it, like fully understanding that what he was saying was creepy.
Sure.
That's the context of this. But he was just like, I just want you to know, like, if I were a serial killer, I would make your skin into a lamp.
Yeah, 100%. Duh.
I was
Duh.
like,
Are you kidding?
thank you.
It has a glow even when you're not trying.
I was like, thanks.
Don't have to turn the light on.
I think.
For white men Olympics, for like the JV division, I'm doing okay.
You really
I'm not
are.
running away with it, but I'm not last. Which I have very few genetic like things in my handbasket. You know, I have a pretty solid beard and a funny personality. You know, like those. That's my 1-2 right there. That's my.
You do take good care of your skin, though.
Thank you.
Yeah. You take better care of your skin than I take care of mine, which is.
Fuck you.
I'm fully aware. I said that to my bridal like makeup person, and she was just like, she was commenting. She was like, "You have great skin," and I was like, "Thank you." I blame it on genetics. Like I don't know how I got here. Sometimes I leave makeup on for like a week, and I just kind of forget about it. And she was like, "That's really messed up of you to say," because sometimes I'll leave makeup on for like one night, and I'm like screwed for like 3 months. One time she had acne. She has a young daughter, and she said that she had acne, and her daughter pointed at her face and went, "Mama, ouch." I was like,
Children will do that.
children will be so honest.
I have so many things to tell you. I'm not going to, but I'm going to say this though.
Yeah.
Oh, when I said
I wash my face more regularly now. Don't come at me.
no one cares. When I said that's my when I said that's my 1-2 and I did this, it reminded me of this TikTok.
Pew, pew, pew.
What's the sound of your gun? Because mine is So what's the sound of your little pistol handguns? What's the sound of your?
Pew pew.
Oh, I thought it was.
I don't cry in public.
These
Grant,
are,
you know this.
Listen, everyone has been listening to them off as they pull into the grocery store.
True.
And then like the person on like telling the story was like, and then I realized the whole message of my dad. And I was like, you know, like everyone's had that moment where you're crying in the parking lot of King Soopers because you're listening to a storytelling hour.
I think my pew pew is more just like silence.
This little emotional break has been brought to you by the fact that we're talking about conflict in the Middle East.
By the Vance. By Vance. Proprion. What other meds am I on?
So they're
Escitalopram.
super smart and having a really hard time squaring their intelligence with the like death and destruction they're surrounded by.
Crazy.
That's hard to do even if you're like not hyper intelligent, right? If you're just like of average intelligence, like yours truly. But
Did you just admit that on air?
okay, I was giving you the chance to be like, you're way smart, Grant. You failed. You failed me, Maya. You failed me, not the other way around.
You failed.
Did you just admit that on air?
yourself.
No, I didn't. You failed is what happened.
No. This is how this friendship is going to work, where you're doing tests.
We're 2 hours in of, sorry, we're
No,
2
we're
hours.
not.
Yeah, sure. What I really meant to say
We're literally an hour in.
what I meant to say was we're 2 years into this friendship. But I said hours and then I stuck to it because I'm smart.
If you ever watched The
Say it
Secret
back.
Lives of Mormon Wives, here I am talking about it right now. Whitney, I know she's like going through it and everything, but every time she does a test where she's like, no one called me, that's what I feel like just happened with Grant, okay?
So it's just really hard for them to kind of square. No, I'm kidding.
Whole national security issue.
Thing with the fact that like they're oftentimes stateside and could
Yes.
make a lot more money elsewhere. And it's like this like crazy thing where it's like they're really smart, they could make more money elsewhere. Or they could make more money still doing intelligence work, but as a contractor with the NSA. Because right now she's with the Air Force.
Right.
And the NSA is where the real money is at.
Interesting.
So she worked out a lot. She journaled and she left the Air Force. It is
Oh,
now
yeah.
November of 2016. She would like to work with a non-governmental organization, also known as an international NGO. She's one of the few Americans in the world who can speak the 2 languages spoken in Afghanistan.
Wow.
And she wants to work with charities trying to improve Afghanistan.
Yeah, she's
she-
like not here to just take information and report it. She wants
she's
to
like,
do
I
something.
would love to help. Like, she was like, I think part of her dream, and this might be a simplified shorthand version of it,
Yeah.
but she's like, I'd love to use my language skills to help NGOs like bring clean drinking water, right? To, like
Yeah.
bring employment opportunities.
Do
Right? Like,
something positive
right.
that you know is positive.
right.
Yeah.
And communicating with the locals for more than just like, where are the bad guys, but for
Yeah.
like, can we do this? What does your community need? Like, how can
Yeah.
we help? I think that's what she wants. But there's an issue.
Uh-oh.
And that is that she went into the Air Force right away. And a lot of these NGOs require a college degree.
Oh.
There's a quote where she was like, you need a goddamn college degree to hand out blankets. Are you kidding me? She speaks both languages, has served 6 years in the Air Force, and has a medal for how good she was at
that
it.
job, yeah.
She is at this point like 24, 25
This
years
person
old.
listens to our podcast.
Yeah. Listeners, I know you're smart. Before you take that personally, don't change the channel. I know
it's
you're
just
smart.
like,
Go get
oh.
us drinks. I know you're kidding.
Just always amazes me the kinds of the people who listen and the experiences they have, because I'm just like here with my stupid little beer, like
You're so
talking into
impressed
a
by
mic.
reality, and I can see it on your face. You just go, they listen to us?
They surely have better things to listen to.
Like watching a CEO take our advice on medicine. Like, I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah,
I
like,
understand what
what?
you're trying to say. Speaking of drink, hold on. No, let me finish this real quick.
Yeah, then we get drinks. Yeah.
So despite having perhaps the most valuable skill possible to these NGOs, knowledge of the area, and a deep desire to help the region,
Yeah.
she can't secure a job with an NGO.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's also important to remember, too, that when she left the Air Force in 2016, Reality Winner was honorably discharged.
Wow.
Unable to find work with the NGOs, Reality Winner begins working with a contractor with the NSA, also known as the National Security Agency. The NSA is part of the vast web of U.S. agencies that, quote, collect intelligence, or otherwise spies on behalf of the U.S. government.
Okay.
Winner is able to get a job as a contractor with the NSA because she still holds top secret security clearance.
Yeah, because it doesn't lapse for really long.
No, but I mention that too because it's like she speaks these languages. She has 6 years in the Air Force. She has a medal. She was honorably discharged.
She has the
and our federal government
qualifications,
is like top secret classification. That's how much you can trust her in this situation.
Yeah.
And these international NGOs are like, but if you could
But
get
you
a
don't have a
business degree, yeah,
bachelor's?
exactly. It's like
And communications.
it's
please.
like, I mean, it's horrifying.
Yeah, that's awful. Not to bash on you getting a master's in communication, but like,
No, I mean, I'm only doing it because I teach communication.
it's crazy. I'm kidding.
No, I am too. I mean, off camera, you know my thoughts.
Do you need me to cut that?
No, it's been good. It's been good to get a master's degree. It's been fun to go back to school. I do feel like sometimes I learn things, but I also feel like this institution has learned that I have a credit card limit that can handle the tuition. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
that is like the most important thing that has been proven so far. Okay. So this is going to be a great chance to pause.
Yeah.
Because I put in the story and then bolded it to give me sections. I want to pause again in the story. Not even
Pause
joking.
for
You
drinks.
can see it. No, it goes, because who is Reality Winner? She certainly isn't the average kind of person you'd expect to find in this position. Her father had a huge impact on her life and appears to have encouraged her independent streak, her intelligence, and the values she carries in the world. So who is Reality Winner? More on her when we come back. Stay with us.
Stay with us. Welcome back. We refilled our drinks, and I planned Grant's wedding for him. That's all you need to know.
What I'm about to say is such a Patreon comment, and considering what they just heard, a truly wild thing for them to be hearing us coming back from. On Maya's bachelorette party trip up to Vancouver, me and Tyler made this like pact because we're both fun and undefined, and also like unshackled by the burdens of undefined. And like unshackled by the trap that is heteronormativity. Tyler and I have both decided that we will go to each other's bachelor parties or 40th birthday parties, whatever comes first. Do you not remember that conversation?
No, I do, but then
like my bachelor party is going to be my 40th birthday in Mexico at a resort.
Oh, so like you're saying if you don't have a bachelor party by the time you're 40,
40,
you're just
then
gonna like go
it's-
all
right,
out
then
for your
my
40th.
40 is like, that's the moral like you have to go to it. Like that's the moral
like
equivalent
really
of it.
fucking cute that you think you're not gonna make your 40th just like an all-out bash, regardless of if you've had your bachelor party or not.
Yeah, but it's by saying it now, you guys can know to start saving money for plane tickets. Because it's one thing to be like friends, like we have a quick little dinner on Friday and then a Saturday afternoon thing and then a
Yeah.
Saturday evening thing all in the city. That's one thing, and I've definitely already done that. But it's a whole other thing to be like, you actually morally have to fly. Remember that time I bought all of you presents for your wedding and went to your bachelorette party
No.
trips? But you didn't have a wedding, so I didn't have to get you a gift for it.
Buy me presents.
I made you a poem about fish.
The way I sent out my like elopement announcement, and I wanted to be like, and also we bought a house, so our mailing address has changed, and here it is. And if you want to send gifts,
Shout out to every person who's like, get back to like the felon that you were
sorry,
just talking
reality
about.
winner, our listener who deserves
Deserves better and deserves
Deserves
our
better,
attention.
yeah.
Deserves better than us. I don't know. I don't know why you chose us.
again.
Honored.
Yeah, honored. Thank you. I'm still I'm always reminded of that thing that Grant said. That's like everyone lives such full lives. And it's crazy that
It's
we have
always
listeners
crazy to
that
me when
have
people
crazy
start
lives.
off sentences like that. I'm reminded what Grant said because I never listen to myself.
I know, and I've watched your like anxiety in your
Yeah.
face, so I'm gonna keep saying.
Because there are times I do remember what I've said. It's like not flattering or kind to me, you know? But the thing is, like, I just.
And I've always said that.
Yes, and I have too. But like my words just have like my words have a font to them, right? Like you
Is
see
it
it.
papyrus? Be honest.
No, but it is slanted. I don't know what it is, but
Comic
it is like
Sans? No, it's italic Comic Sans.
probably italic Comic Sans just that you can just tell like, I'll hear things and be like, yeah, I said it. That's for sure something that I definitely would have
what
said.
font am I?
Sorry.
No, answer it.
No, the whiskey Coke's getting to me a little bit. And so only because right before we paused, we were talking about skin, Japanese hieroglyphics.
It's not even hieroglyphics.
I don't know what it's called. What's it called?
Characters.
Okay, I'm sorry. No, what's yours? All caps lock. That's, your font is caps lock.
It's really fucked up for me to say.
I love how the fucked up thing for me to say wasn't the joke about Japan.
Wasn't like kind of racist thing you said.
You have perfect skin. I had to bring you down a peg. It's
No,
literally a
you're
reference to your
always
skin.
yelling.
And yet you're proving my point. And yet I'm not wrong.
There was this one time I had a friend over. This is the last thing I say. I swear to God.
We were
Reality,
going to
I'm
get
so
back
sorry.
to also all of our listeners. We're
I'm sorry. I had a bunch of Mac over, like my like little council that I did event planning with in college. I had them all over for something, and we were all in my college basement, like college house basement.
Right.
And at some point we were like watching or playing something, and I laughed like doing like my big like caught off guard and
I love
also
it.
really funny laugh. Yeah.
Like your honk. Yeah.
Okay.
You laugh first.
Jesus. There's one guy on the council. He was definitely a little bit more neuro divergent.
Okay.
If you know what I mean,
Yes.
than the rest of us. But he just like reached up like instinctually to like plug his ears, and I remember that so distinctly to this day.
My friends have gotten notifications on their smartwatches. They're in loud environments when
It's happened
it's
when we've
just
been
me telling
recording.
a story. Yeah. So reality winner.
Hello.
Who is she?
Who is she?
Reality
I do
winner.
have questions.
She's queer,
I love that.
gun owning,
Love that.
hair color dyeing,
Love that.
fiercely independent woman
Love that.
who speaks 2 different languages indigenous to Afghanistan after growing up in rural South Texas.
Wow.
She drives a boxy, bumper sticker covered Nissan Cube, donning
A Nissan Cube? Oh my
bumper
God.
stickers that read "Adopt, Make America Green Again," and
Oh my god.
"You just got passed by a toaster." I remember at the top of this episode when I was like this is a person that's in our lives. Like this is a person
I just also
we've
love
met
that-
versions of Reality Winner and all the people we love.
You now have just like these crazy details.
Because her life's so well documented.
Yeah.
Like that came from an article in New York Magazine.
That's
Like obviously
so
I didn't
funny.
find her car, but it was documented by a journalist.
So I love that she chose it.
I love too, because the lesson I'm learning right now is like, boy, Grant, when you like really try and get details on a story and not just
can.
like a Jean summary.
Jean, and then there was another Jean, and then there was a guy.
And she was his second
wife.
We're awful.
Ba-ba-da-ba.
So for all the kind of surface level apparent contradictions that seem to exist within her, some things are clear and consistent when it comes to Reality Winner. She's smart, has loyally served the United States for more than half a decade, and is deeply concerned about world affairs. She is also pretty funny.
Hell yeah.
And more than a few times, inconveniently sarcastic is how I put it. I actually think her humor fits perfectly into the millennial cohort that her and I are in. Because the millennial cohort's like 15, 20 years, right? Is like the time span. And so you get kind of like subgenres of people who learned internet in elementary school versus people who learned internet in college, right? Like you get kind of this like sub-stratification. So I recognize a lot of like what she says and the way she speaks and like what she thinks is funny and like what she just assumes everyone understands is a joke, right? And it's like kind of some of the same jokes that you and I have made at times because of how relatable it is. And so, you know, she'll say stuff like this text message between her and her sister. Reality Winner, quote, and this is when she gets a job at the NSA. Reality Winner, in a text message to her sister, quote, I have to take a polygraph where they're going to ask if I've plotted against the United States. Hashtag gonna fail. Her sister, LOL, just convince yourself you are writing a novel. Reality Winner, quote, look, I only say I hate America 3 times a day. I'm no radical. Stuff like that you and I find pretty funny.
Yeah.
But that the U.S. government
And the NSA
might view as premeditation to treason. I am laughing at your laugh right now because when I first wrote that up, I, in my mind, pictured me saying it, premeditation to treason. Stay with us, right?
It's crazy that every time I say I hate America or like I want to leave or something like that, like I hate it here, could be considered as premeditation to treason based off of my future actions.
Well, and the tough thing too is you know this, I know this, like a lot of our listeners know this. When we say stuff like that, what we're saying is we have this ideal of America.
And we're fighting for it, and it's not even close to
and
what
it's
it
not
be.
matching the reality of what's happening right now. And so it's like really frustrating, and this is my way of like expressing that frustration between what I believe America is supposed to stand for and act and do and things like that, and the way she's actually conducting herself.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
But it's also premeditation to treason.
So people keep asking me, what's married life like? And I'm like,
I'm so glad you made this about you. I'm so glad you made like
treason.
treason.
Yeah, you're welcome. So
yeah, how is that marriage going?
Well, people keep asking me that, and I'm like, well, I've been dating him for like 5-ish years. We've been living together for like a number of years at this point. We lived in 3 different places. We've moved. We own a couple of dogs together. Like, life is not different. So my immediate reaction is like, well, I haven't killed him yet. And then I think like you need to stop putting that in writing where it can be traced in case like I'm not genuinely, I know I've like I'm not a violent person by nature, and I'm never going to be that kind of person, but I'm so worried that like Casey goes missing one day, and then all the cops are like, well, see, you
it's
said.
Always the wife. We got a whole Gone Girl situation.
Like, it's similar to that.
Sometimes Jacob calls Lydia his first wife, and she gets so
I
mad.
love that. I love that. Like,
Good.
Casey's my ex-boyfriend.
It's on record.
Yeah, and my second elopement post, I said I married my roommate. So
anything else? Because the next like 3 sentences are going to get pretty intense again.
We can be.
Or like mountaintop, valley peak.
Let me bring my little fidget toy back. Hold on, because I don't know when.
I'm going to let you do. Oh, is it like out of the room? Okay, never mind. I'm going to start going.
Go.
Okay, so premeditation to treason. You can't laugh
wild
at that.
Sentence. Sorry.
So 2016 was a hard time for all of us. Not to mention the Titanic, but I'm going to mention the Titanic.
2016?
2016.
I graduated from high school that year.
I'm living in Denver at that time, which is
So was I.
the start of the story. No, you were living in Lakewood.
I was actually living in Arvada. So.
right? So you weren't living in Denver. I was like downtown, and downtown was my cross streets.
Okay, well.
And on election night 2016, I came home from my
Yeah,
little
that was a
teaching job.
rough- Oh, I was.
And then
at
changed,
mines.
and they hadn't just immediately called it for Hillary Clinton, which I thought was weird, but I was actually at the time like a little grateful for, because it was going to give me enough time to get downtown to the Democratic State Party like watch party or whatever. And by the time I got there, it was like I had boarded the Titanic the night
It's
she sinks.
so bad. Yeah.
Like like I have never been in a place with worse vibes, and I have been in hospitals, right? Like, but like, you know, like
Yes.
for like, and it's
Yeah.
like, and it was apocalyptic. I remember at times like something would pop up on the screen, and you would just get like this random like burst of like screams from a corner of the room as like the reality of what was happening like
Saddened,
unfolded
yeah.
in front of all of us.
Yes.
So we all experienced that together, and 99% of our listeners had the kind of response we did.
Yeah, I was at college. It was my freshman year, and like I feel like I had been under this impression that once you get to college, it tends to be like really liberal, or like you can like kind of surround yourself with, like I don't know what impression I had, but there were people like as soon as the election got called, who were running around the dorm. That I wasn't like living in a dorm at that point, but I was like hanging out in a dorm and with one of my close friends, and these people were running around like yelling in
Chanting.
celebration and
Yeah.
like taking shots and like running through all of the dorm rooms, and me and my friend Brittany were like,
Sobbing.
yeah, this
Yeah.
is like not funny.
What was extra hard too, sorry, not extra hard, but like
Yeah.
this very strange dichotomy, because Colorado had a decent election night for the kind of causes that we believe
Yes,
in.
yeah.
But obviously nationally the news was so bad. And so it was like the news was coming, and then you'd hear people like trying to like quiet bottles of champagne because like Initiative 123 just passed, or
Yeah,
like, you know,
like,
whatever.
okay, cool.
Right. There's like affordable housing and like a minimum wage increase, and like the Democrats in Colorado like picked up a couple seats in the state legislature, but everyone, yeah, so it was awful.
Can we have a pact?
Sure. Yeah.
You and I.
Yes, I'm going to say yes. What are the details? I'm
Thank
agreeing to the
you.
terms and conditions. Tell me everything.
Can we have a watch party for the election?
Don't you know I'm already hosting it?
I know, but what I'm worried about is it's not going to be resolved in one night, and I don't want to leave until.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'll have to go to work the next day, but you know where I work now, so I doubt anyone will be there if it's not resolved.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't
And
think
also,
anyone will go to school
to
that
give
day.
you my I think I told you this, the 2020 election, I was still living in my college house because it was a year after, and I just hadn't moved out of my college house yet, and it COVID and everything, and I had just been informed that I had been exposed to COVID at
We
work.
have done the same thing where it's like I get them right to the precipice of something about reality
know,
winner.
I know,
and
I
then
know,
you and
I'm
I
sorry,
just-
I'm sorry,
No,
I'm sorry.
I'm
Yeah.
loving it still because I know what happens.
Yeah, I
and
know.
you know you're going to find out tonight. They, however, are like pulling into the grocery store parking
You're
lot.
like, God damn it.
We'll catch you in a second.
And I had been told I was exposed to COVID, and so because I had like 4 other roommates at the time, we all had an agreement if we had gotten exposed, we had to self-quarantine
Right.
in our rooms,
Right.
and anytime we came out, wear masks. And so I was like stuck in my room with like just CNN on for like a week straight, watching this election unfold. It
like,
was the most anxiety-inducing
so
experience
not
of my
good
life.
for your health.
No, it wasn't. So I can't do that again, Grant.
I'm hosting election night.
Okay, thank you.
3 weeks later, you guys are hosting Friendsgiving. And then 3 weeks after that, the Bohawks are hosting Soup Christmas.
Soup Christmas, excellent. I need to learn how to make soup between now and then. Continue.
No, I need us to say like one more thing so I can transition back into.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll host the election night party. And as I learned
And
today.
I'm never leaving. I'm
That's
not
fine.
leaving until it's
As I
called.
learned today during a tied Husker
Yeah.
game for too long of a portion, Tris kids are actually so great for when you're nervous. Just chow down on some
It's actually really fair. It's like,
like
the
furniture.
wheat thin kind
Yeah.
of like, yeah.
like real crunchy and a little sharp in your mouth.
Yeah.
So loud and crumbly. Great when you're nervous.
Good. That's good. Babe.
So we all had a really tough
Election.
November, December 2016 was
But
like
especially
a really
reality winner, it sounds
yeah,
like.
and you don't even know half of it.
Yeah.
So the election night kicks off what is perhaps the worst 2 months of her life up to that point.
Oh, gosh.
So in addition to the election, which we all experienced, her and her partner / boyfriend would break up,
Oh,
and then her father would pass away in December.
the one that like taught her how to
Yeah.
be a free thinker.
Her like
person.
constant like companion and
Yeah, that's
confidant,
rough.
and a person that she could go to with frustrations about the world, and he would understand, he would sympathize, and also had also read about it, right? Because like she gets her fascination of the world, I think at least in part from her dad. So she'd be like,
Right.
"Did you hear about the Janine pilot?" And he would be like, "Yes, I
Yes.
did."
Yeah.
As opposed to like, "No, what happened?" Like he'd be like, "I'm tuned in."
I'm there, yeah.
And so like all of, and this is also, she just left the Air Force, so she's like completely.
She like doesn't have her same community that she's
Yeah,
used to.
it's so much
being taught
change
to, yeah.
so quickly.
It's rough.
Reality Winner would go on to reflect on this time that 2016, the end of it, 2016 into 2017, was the time in her life when she got really good at crying and running.
Oh.
When I
Crying
read that,
and running?
because
Or,
that's
like,
how she would process her
crying
emotions.
while running?
No.
Just crying and running.
She would then later also admit to her sister that she would, quote, she cried in her car for 30 minutes and exactly 30 minutes every day for weeks after her dad passed.
Oh.
Her boyfriend then confirmed that, saying, quote, that sounds exactly like reality. She would give herself exactly 30 minutes. So it's a really tough time. And then she starts this new job, which isn't necessarily a job that she wants, but is like the job that she can step into as she continues.
Wanted something that she could like be able to let some of her like, I don't know, anxiety through of like, I'm doing good in the world.
Right. And so the NSA kind of becomes like this like holding pen kind of thing for her.
Yeah.
But like, as in like, it's a place where she can be as she works towards her next goal. So she's like, do I maybe get like an airborne clearance and then I can go in with like them and
so
like
she's
be on
not
the
trying
ground.
to like get a degree
no,
yeah,
she's not gonna,
that's kind of like a bullshit
no,
goal.
I think when she realizes that's like a requirement for some of these places, she's like okay, I don't want to work with you then anyway.
That's super fair.
So healthy. And I know 19, 20, 21-year-olds listening to this right now, it's so hard to stick to some of those guns, but you're like, listen to your gut. Also, so she's working at the NSA. She's going through all this trauma. The NSA isn't like the end goal for her, and she's like trying to work the next thing. And it's also not a great cultural fit for her.
Yeah, I can imagine.
In every single thing that I read,
she
was like, it acknowledged that Reality Winner lodges at least 2 complaints that all of the work televisions are set to Fox News 24/7. And so she can't escape it. It's increasingly frustrating to her. So she's at this job. The people she was often turned to for guidance and support are gone. She doesn't have the job she wants, and like all of us, is horrified by what's going on in the national political environment. The reports of Russian interference in the 2016 election are, still at this point, more rumors and conjecture than actual fact. A left-leaning podcast. Hey, that's us. I even wrote, that's us. Thank you. Thank you.
That is us.
It's crazy that I found you so late into my young era.
Same. Sometimes it's crazy to me how I found you, and because it feels like I've known you for so long, and then I go back.
No, I know.
Because I went to
and
college.
how tenuous that connection is.
I went back to college because it's mine's is a homecoming, and I was like, Grant's not actually. Like, I can't text him about this stuff as if he knows it.
And I love, too, that you just assume I was smart enough to get into mines when I like definitely wasn't.
I mean, probably.
If I had applied myself, sure, but I didn't. I wanted to go to Nebraska. But what's so funny to me, really, is I know you because at a small little COVID birthday party, Danny invited Tyler in hopes of rekindling something, which means, dear listener, Maya, Danny...
Red string is out.
Trusted love one more time, every time. And that's why you and I are in this room right now.
It's literally crazy that we owe our relationship to them.
I love them. We owe them the world.
It's weird, too, because the person I owe my relationship with Casey to is also someone that I, like, I don't know. Like, I love Danny and Tyler so much, but, like, the person that I owe my relationship to Casey to is, like, not someone that I talk to or necessarily, like, go to for advice.
There are people in our lives forever, and there's people in our lives for a season, babes.
Damn.
Surely you've read that before.
I think, no, I have.
Good. That's an original.
But
it's mine. It's original.
Did you see? Wait.
Yes. No.
This is the last thing I'll say.
Is it?
I don't know. 2 days ago,
having too much fun.
I didn't take my ADHD meds today. 2 days ago I posted a thing on the Well I Laughed Instagram story that was like, I'm thinking about making new stickers. What should I make the stickers?
Oh, I know. I got 45 messages and I was like, great.
Oh, you have a job to do? I'm so sorry. I had to edit all of the episode
but sometimes
that we recorded.
My job becomes overwhelming without me noticing until I open up Instagram. Then I'm like, oh, fun. Okay.
If you ever need help with that, also let me know. If it's something I caused, just text me.
No. Our current dynamic's great. And I'm aware, and it's set as a reminder in my phone for tomorrow that I need to write the episode description for tonight and 2 nights ago. But it's just kind of easier when I'm in a groove to do 2 at the same time.
Okay, I haven't actually edited the full episode. I edited the Patreon.
What were you going to say about stickers?
The stickers. Someone responded, and I don't know how to even go about trying to find if this is a quote that we said. I feel like it is.
I might be able to confirm.
I Googled it and it's not something that's online. So it's definitely something original, whether they thought it up, like inferred it from stuff we said.
Well, was it in my font? Let's find out.
Was you find religion in space, you find the devil in the ocean.
Oh yeah, I 100%.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I thought you did, but I was like, we can't make stickers of things that aren't like things
No,
that
because it's
we
a fusion
said.
of your fear
so,
and
yeah.
an informative speech I heard
That
like
was
a year
so
ago.
deep. they respond with that, and I was like, holy shit. Okay, continue.
So Reality's listening to a left-leaning podcast at
Hell
the
yeah.
time from The Intercept. I think it's called like
Love that.
The Intercepted
Oh,
or
cool.
something.
Yeah.
In March of 2017 now.
Oof.
They say this, the podcast on The Intercept. Quote, there is a tremendous amount of hysterics, a lot of theories, a lot of premature conclusions being drawn around all of this Russian stuff. And there is not a lot of hard evidence to back it up. There may be evidence, but it's not here yet. Except there is hard evidence. And Reality Winner knows it.
Oh.
Because she can see it. Because she has access to top secret intelligence confirming just that.
Oh my God.
And you, listener, today in 2024 know it. Because you can read it. Because of what a Reality Winner chooses to do next. On May 9th, 2017, President Trump dismisses FBI Director James Comey. Comey had, among other things, been investigating Russian election interference into the 2016 election. That same day, in Augusta, Georgia, a 6-year Air Force veteran printed off a top-secret report confirming Russian actors targeted election officials in at least 8 states. That veteran then folded the report in half, tucked it into her pantyhose, walked out of the NSA offices, and mailed it to the online journal The Intercept. When Reality Winner put the parcel in the mailbox, she included no return address. She did not include her name or how to contact her. She anonymously provided information that she felt the public had a right to know. Unfortunately, the journalist she trusted mishandled everything, and Reality Winner quickly became a headline.
Oh my God.
Right? Okay, so I'm going to pause for a second to unpack a little bit what I just said.
Can we recap what you just said?
You and I know for a fact, listener, I'm talking to you directly right now. We know for a fact that Russia interfered in the 2016 election. There's a lot of evidence now that suggests that. That doesn't suggest, that proves that there was attempted efforts. In March of 2017, that was still more rumor and conjecture. And the Trump administration was clearly making efforts to try to bury that lead. Yeah. Reality Winner knew that it wasn't conjecture. She knew it was true. And she knew The Intercept, which was founded by 2 journalists who made their jobs, made their profile, sharing something a whistleblower had linked. She knew The Intercept would potentially publish something.
Yeah.
And so she was like, the public deserves to know about what has happened. This isn't a suggestion. This is a real thing. And I can share anonymously this information. And so she sneaks the report out, puts it in a mailbox in a strip mall to The Intercept, and walks away. There is no way to contact her,
trace it back to her
based off of the parcel. I want to make those 2 things really clear. It is Reality Winner sees what's happening in the news, thinks you and I as American voters deserve to know the truth, that the government currently ran by the Trump administration, which benefited from the intrusion,
yes,
is actively trying to suppress this information, and that she believes she has a way she can share it with you and at the same time remain anonymous. She does not put her name or a phone number or an email or anything. The Intercept gets a parcel in the mail, and that's all they get.
I have goosebumps.
Right?
That's
you know what you know
insane.
because of what Reality Winner put into motion.
Again, this person listens to her.
I know. No, I know. And here's the thing too. Truthfully, there's
do
parts
not
of
have the
this-
balls to do that.
Same.
I wish I could say that I did.
Same. I want to think that I would.
Yes, same.
I think everyone wants to think that they would. It's,
like,
it's tough to know.
But like, think especially with her knowledge of like how in depth the U.S. government is in like every person's lives and their capabilities and their ability to surveil people, and like she knows that like there's a possibility that they could come after her for this, and fully understands the consequences, understands what it took to get a top secret clearance.
I think there's actually part of this that's like, take a step back, and this is now fully into the world, kind of like personal opinion, reading the tea leaves. Some of the things that reality has said to me in email kind of suggest this, but I don't want to be like, and according to blanket, this isn't hard. But I think part of it was truly being so emotionally aggrieved by what's happening at the time and having access to hardcore truth right in front of you, that the desire to prove that, I think, overrode any
of her worries.
Right. Or like even the thought process that like you might get in trouble, you might get in a lot of trouble, that like you'll be found out. I think she truly was like, this needs to get out. And it's not like, oh, like, damn the consequences. I just think there wasn't like necessarily an equation about the consequences, which is actually in my mind like really brave. That like you were so compelled by the need to share the truth, that like your worldview doesn't make a lot of time for, because you and I think second guess everything.
Yes.
When I bought full strength Cokes, I had half a second thought on it. But you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like we had like, you know, and I think reality deserves, I mean, it's like the whole final section of the Tonight story is like a look at her legacy and stuff like that. But yeah. Okay. So let me tell you about how
they mishandled it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And how it all gets back. Journalists at The Intercept made a series of mistakes, including showing visual copies of the report they received to government officials with the NSA and the FBI. Those pictures helped confirm for the government that the report had been printed and mailed, not leaked electronically.
Right.
How could they tell in one picture? Because a crease from being unfolded in half was visible. That then immediately told them that this was an electronic leak, which is like what Snowden had done.
Yes.
It was a paper leak.
And really opens up who could have done it.
And they had the ability to see who had printed it. And 6 people in the country had printed that report. Oh, wow. And only one of them had read The Intercept on their work computer. There's also perhaps like a serial code attached to the printer that you can kind of see. Like,
yeah, I'm sure there's lots of
as
IP address
soon
stuff.
as they know it's a paper copy, it's over.
Yeah.
Like they might have well written her name on it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Journalists today call the actions of The Intercept inexcusable, unethical, and frankly incompetent.
So the way that Intercept mishandled it is that they just published. So how?
No, The Intercept publishes their reports 30 minutes before the FBI announces the name of reality winner. What The Intercept did that was a massive fuck up was they were like, hey, visibly, look at this thing that we have. Is this accurate? Because they're trying to confirm the information.
Okay.
But what you are supposed to do is you're supposed to go to the people you confirm it with and you go, I'm going to summarize for you some of the things in this document, but you're not going to see it. You're not going to know what the exact headline is.
So what they did, they sent it to their contacts.
Yeah, they were basically like, look at this picture. Is this one of yours? And they were like, thank you so much for 101 clues. Which is like against like basic. Oh, you're going to love this next part. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of repeating to build up to it.
Yeah.
Journalists today called the actions of The Intercept during that time inexcusable, unethical, and frankly incompetent. Their mishandling of the evidence allowed for the anonymous source to be discovered. In a statement, Betsy Reed, the editor-in-chief of The Intercept, said this, quote, as we've acknowledged before, in preparing the story on a Russian election interference in 2017, we made errors in the course of verifying a document that came to us anonymously. We honor Reality Winner's courage and feel awful about what she went through. We have learned from Reality Winner's case, and we work hard to minimize the risk whistleblowers face. For The Intercept, this appears to be a, quote, teachable moment. For Reality, it meant arrest, and after a year of fighting the charges, accepting a plea deal, pleading guilty and accepting a prison sentence of 5 years and 3 months, the longest prison sentence anyone has ever received.
5 years?
For leaking information to the press.
And The Intercept, I'm assuming, did not help her
So,
in any way?
okay, complicated.
Yeah.
Really complicated. I can say this much, like, I think it's clear Reality Winner doesn't feel like they did nearly enough.
Oh, yeah.
Their, like, parent company helped kind of fund the defense a little bit, but, like, the true answer is if you're going to be a newspaper that deals with this kind of stuff.
You need to know how to do it.
Right. You need to not risk, like, whistleblower
And no one's going to
identities.
send you that. Like, you
Correct.
fucked yourself over.
Correct.
That's so fucking stupid.
Right. Because
Did
we
they
know
fire-
Reality
is
Winners
there, like,
today. I didn't follow that rabbit hole
Okay.
specifically. If I like how it went down at the Intercept, what the consequences were, etc.
That's
Just that, like,
crazy.
essentially she gets arrested because of the way it's handled. Obviously, there's an alternate universe where it gets handled differently, and maybe Reality is still questioned, and they ultimately do like charge her with something.
Right.
But they basically immediately get to Reality, and it's like an airtight case because of the information the Intercept shares. Okay, so wait for this next section.
Okay.
So this is now pulled from, again, a different article from the New York Magazine. Those who criticize whistleblowers often suggest that the whistleblower, the offender, ought to have followed a more, quote,
Yeah, fuck
responsible
you.
course.
Immediately.
What President Obama once called in his criticism of Snowden as, quote, the procedures and practices of the intelligence community.
No.
There are reasons notorious leakers have stopped doing so. And those reasons involve a man named Thomas Drake. In 2002, Drake had concerns about a wasteful and unconstitutional $1 billion warrantless wiretapping program, later revealed to be among both the worst and most expensive failures in the history of U.S. intelligence. Thomas
Good
Drake,
God.
right? That's his name. Yeah, Thomas Drake. Where did he go? Yes. Thomas Drake alerted the National Security Agency's General Counsel. Thomas Drake informed Diane Rourke, a Republican staffer at the House Intelligence Committee in charge of NSA oversight, and anonymously informed congressional committees investigating the mistakes that led to 9/11. He alerted the Inspector General of the Department of Defense, which launched an investigation. Colleagues warned him that he ought to stop. Eventually, the FBI raided Drake's home,
Yeah.
and the Justice Department charged him with willful retention of national defense information. An assistant inspector general later claimed that the Pentagon was punishing Drake for whistleblowing, and he had improperly destroyed material related to his defense. Like the Pentagon specifically destroyed anything that might help Thomas Drake.
Cute.
Drake then, as a consequence of that punishment, lost his job, lost his pension, lost his savings. Homeless, his marriage fell apart. He now works at an Apple store in Bethesda, Maryland. The FBI raided Reality Winner's home on the day of her arrest. Yeah. There's no reason to follow the proper channels. When you do, we destroy your entire life.
Yeah, literally, like, that's the whole reason that Reality felt the need to do this.
They actually would later raid Diane Rourke's home too, just for good measure. If you're connected to a whistleblower, we're going to raid your home too.
Diane Rourke is the one that owns...
The staffer.
Oh,
Who,
the staffer.
that Drake told.
Oh,
He was
right,
like,
right,
hey,
right.
you
Okay,
help
cool.
with it with oversight. Here you go. Raided her home too.
That's insane.
There's so many parts of this where you're like, God damn our government, because of the way it treats individuals.
Yeah.
And perhaps that kisses goodbye any political career you and I ever dreamed of having. But this story feels
Our
massive
political
and important.
career began and ended at city council.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And who has the time for that kind of oppo research?
We'll be on city council and we'll be happy as clams.
Let's make every road pedestrian friendly.
Yes.
Our radical left-wing agenda
That is the gay agenda.
from our
actually,
little
is
left-wing
pedestrian
podcast.
walkways.
Okay, so the FBI... Oh, you're going to love this next part. The FBI raided Reality Winner's home on the day of her arrest. There, in the back laundry room of her rental home, she largely complied with FBI agents and at least partially admitted to what she had done. Her home was not that of a sophisticated international spy hell-bent on the destruction of the U.S. and all that it stood for.
Crazy.
Honestly,
She was
it
just a good
yeah,
citizen.
it looked a lot like the homes you and I have spent plenty of time in. The rooms were filled with workout
Stuff.
equipment,
Yeah.
sneakers, sticky notes on which workout regimes were scrawled, but also a handful of stray thoughts that she wanted to like pursue later. Thoughts like, quote, peacemaking is less of a rational economic model of dividing resources and territory fairly. Further research on deserts versus rainforests. Basically, totally the process of when I am creating an episode for this is what they found in Reality's home. Months later, when her mother was finally allowed to walk through the house, she pointed to Reality Winner's room and said, quote, the world's biggest terrorist has a Pikachu bed sheet.
That's a badass
Isn't that
quote from her
amazing?
mom. It was her mom, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's hysterical.
So she's caught. She's found out and like kind of largely admits to it.
Honestly, like, of all the things that you could have to plead guilty to, like, it sucks that she was put in a situation where she had to plead guilty,
Right.
but like,
Oops,
yeah, I did that.
committed espionage.
Yeah,
like,
literally,
not
the
even
title of her
trying
email.
to. Okay, so this next section is labeled prison.
Mm-hmm.
In prison, Reality Winner had not helped her case. Even before her sentencing, she had phone calls with her sister where she talked about the show, Orange is the New Black, and how reality should play up the fact that she is a, quote, nice white blonde lady. The prosecution used those words against her, said she was plotting to manipulate the court, which again is like things you and I have said on this podcast as a way of acknowledging like systemic racism, systemic bias, right? Like
the issues by which we like
Right.
survive.
Reality Winner is so in tune with the faults of a country that she spent 6 years fighting for, defending, and serving. A country who, in her service to them, delayed her own education, which then prevented her from getting the
doing the
dream
things
jobs
that she
she
wanted.
wants.
Yeah.
Right. That country, the one that she worked for, the U.S. soldiers she helped keep safe. She was like, I'm going through this legal process as a white blonde lady and not like any number of other identifiers, like a man of color, for example, that would get you a much harsher prison sentence.
Yes.
And that's not hyperbole or you and I coloring in outside the lines.
That's
That is like statistically proven.
That's fact.
There's this whole Onion article, and you know how they sometimes just come in with like a real banger?
Fucking love The Onion.
So The Onion's a fake satirical magazine.
For those not from the US,
right, or not
or
familiar.
not familiar with The Onion, yeah.
And it was, they did this satirical article, and it was like, white woman charged with crime, comma, will be tried as a black man. And it's like this interview about how like her parents are like, no person in America deserves to be tried in our justice system like a black male. And it was like courtroom depictions of her would like look like a black man, and they were going to change her name and stuff. And it was just like apocalyptic because of like what it's an acknowledgement of. And the prosecution takes that and the text messages about how she's no radical. She just says, I hate America 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And they're like, dangerous, terrorist,
Drives a Nissan
espionage.
Cube.
Exactly. Make America green again. I think she means red, right? Like blonde.
She owns a hammer and a sickle.
Exactly.
Jeez.
So they manipulate everything against her. And also, and this is now definitely me coloring outside of the lines, the federal Department of Justice is ran by the Trump administration, who is now actively, in my opinion, going after a woman who exposed Russian interference to help that administration get elected. I am not necessarily saying she's like a political opponent, but I think she is going up against the Justice Department that has more incentive than usual to find her guilty and lock her up for a long time.
Yes.
To
keep
reality,
her from doing it in the next election.
Right. Reality had, by her own admission, forgotten something she should have known. That the government would be listening.
Yeah.
Before her sentencing, Reality Winner was twice denied bail. She was apparently a high risk. Too dangerous.
Girl, bye.
She was apparently a high risk enemy of the United States and was thus held in a county jail in rural Georgia.
For why?
Where else would you put America's #1 most dangerous spy, who's gotten the harshest prison sentence ever for leaking information vital to the protection of our democracy?
Meanwhile, Anna Chapman's like growing hydrangeas or some shit in New York.
No, for reals.
Yeah.
For reals. She is held in the Lincolnton County Jail, where most of her fellow inmates are battling common charges like drug possession and DUI, an unlikely setting for an apparent threat to U.S. national security that can't be trusted on bail. She would remain there after sentencing and spend 16 months living in that one-room county jail cell with others.
Here's the craziest shit about all of this is that, like, I can understand not letting someone out on bail. For example, maybe you shouldn't have let Victor Lustig out on bail because he literally destabilized the American government like a couple of times and then tried to sell the Eiffel Tower.
Last week's episode.
Yeah, in the opposite order. He sold the Eiffel. Yeah, anyway. But like you should only be denying bail to people who have a proven record of like being too dangerous to be out there. And you could see by her record, aside from the one thing that you're trying her for, she has, in fact, her record proves the opposite, that she's like cares about this country, that she like, just because she sent a few like joking text messages to her sister that like, I hate this country, but like, that's not an actual thing.
The math isn't mathing.
No, it's not.
And I'm going to talk about the first part later on towards the end in the legacy section.
It's not girl mathing.
It's not girl mathing. One of my kids on the speech and debate team at school, because all of them like found clubs to like help with their college resume. Yeah. One of the kids, and I'm so proud of her, founded the Hot Girls Walk Club, and it meets Wednesday at lunch. The school's right next to a big park, so it's like perfect. Okay.
Have you heard of the Lettuce Club?
We can't get into this right now. We're right in the middle of like government injustice. I can't get diverted right now. This thought is like here. Okay. So first, the information she leaks, the espionage she commits. It's not like where the nukes are buried. Yeah. It's not like where the president's most vulnerable. No asset is compromised by her leak. No one has to get extracted in the middle of the night from whatever. She's like, hey, just so you know, our election systems are super vulnerable. And they're like, kill her.
Something that already happened. Correct. I'm exposing. It's not like, hey, we have these operatives in wherever and these are all their names and identities.
Like, hate to be like the arbitrator of like what is good espionage and what is bad espionage. But like, sure, like felony, can't vote in the next election, house arrest. Right. But it's not like truly and legitimately no one is less safe because of what she shared. And so they're like, let's give her the max prison sentence possible. And at the same time, keep her in this like rural local county jail.
Yeah. Like,
So this next part.
It's driving me.
I'm actually
and also
excited.
Sorry that we're like just two Americans like
rattling.
Telling our opinions on this. And it's possible that we're just saying things that are like completely false in the scope of like spying and like the government, but like it seems ridiculous.
It's not like she'd even been like contacted by a foreign agent and then responded to it. Like she was, you know, even the Intercept doesn't have a way to get a hold of her if it wants to.
Clearly.
Okay, so heads up. The next portion, the following portion, comes directly from emails between myself and Reality Winner. It details, in her own words, her experience in jail. I mention that for two reasons. First, while I don't have any reason not to believe her, we also obviously don't have the ability to fact check what she has shared with us.
This is just a first person.
Right. However, I have made the decision to share this because it is in line with what prison conditions are like in the United States, as documented by other independent organizations, including the Marshall Project, the Vera Institute for Justice, the Brennan Center for Justice, and the Equal Justice Initiative.
So what you're saying is that, like, even though you can't directly fact check everything she's saying, you are fact checking like the general things that she is alluding to.
That none of the things she shared is I'm like, what? That's never happened in our prison system before. Second, this is now just kind of in general a content warning. The information I'm about to share is not particularly graphic, but if you or someone you love has experienced incarceration in the United States, this description may be upsetting. So I just want to share that now. And now, straight from Reality Winner herself, and I quote, this obviously picks up through one of her emails. Okay, so now you know that I was in a jail cell, not because I serial murdered a bunch of people or anything violent. She's such a girl. She's like us. I dropped my phone.
You love that description. Not because I serial murdered. So I'm going to say that now.
And then
all
it's serial
the time.
murder. It was just a little bit of espionage. It was just a little crimes against the United States.
Which we can all have as a snack.
Exactly.
We know that.
Listen, at some points in my 20s, I too was drunk enough to be a threat to national security. Who hasn't been?
That building would look fabulous on fire.
Earlier today, I said to Maya with a straight face, I mean, who hasn't thrown a wine glass off of a balcony before? And you looked at me and you go, have you done that? And I said, live a little, then get back to me. Of course I have. Of course I have.
Thing like happened is that Casey was in the middle of a beer die game and he turned and was like, I'm sorry, what?
It was into grass, and I went down almost immediately and collected it. And shout out to Dollar Tree's lead-filled glass. Did not break. Don't do it. It's not a proud moment, but it is a funny story. Okay, here's from reality herself. So I'm in jail not because I serial murdered or anything violent like that. In jail, allowing a TV is pretty much how they get us to behave. There was a week when we didn't have cable. We had like 30 channels. It wasn't like we were living the high life. And that week was dark. We were very bored and loud. We used the one glove they gave us at nights to clean the toilets and blew it up into a volleyball. Except
Nice.
the rule was when you hit the ball, you have to make the loudest, most sexual noise you can. We were in one room in a hallway with 4 other cells, 4 other block cells that were full of men. So that caused a riot. So to give you some perception, it's like a hallway, and this hallway leads to like 4 rooms.
Gotcha.
And in each of these rooms, the rooms are like relatively large, but there's like several people in them. Okay? There was a daily rotation of the remote based on who cleaned the toilet that the 7 to 10 of us used. Though, honestly, some of us were there for so long, we just kept the same 5 to 6 people on the TV schedule, and I cleaned the entire room at night for extra exercise.
Wow.
There was still rules behind the remote. If you were asleep, you forfeit the remote. So I got the remote from 6 to 9 a.m. in the mornings to watch CNN on mute. No one else in the room could read the closed captions fast enough, so they just stayed asleep until 11 a.m. when the volume could be turned on. Again, one of our own rules.
Yeah.
Second, we watched Ellen at 4 p.m. Listen, there's so many great gems in this email.
Yeah.
After this episode, you have now my permission.
Yeah,
Not
to
that
go.
you need
I'm
it,
going to need to
but
go
like,
read
go
it. Yeah.
read it.
Yeah.
Second, we watched Ellen at 4 p.m. every day, followed by the local news at 5. If someone was really mad at the group, they would watch something else. But really, not following the basic schedule brought some people to their breaking point. Last, and this was wild to me, any special events or live music performance on TV had to be watched. It was our only way to hear new music or any music at all. Honestly, I preferred the Kardashians or Pitbulls and Parolees.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, we get into a kick of watching 60 Days In. And of course, one day there was a marathon. So my little sis and I, KK, watched like all day outside of the time I spent exercising. But okay, go watch an episode and tell me what you think of their living space. Because we were watching from our one room in which there was our dining table facing the toilet and shower, facing all of our bunk beds. And that jail in Fulton County, Georgia, looked so spacious and amazing. We were always watching with jealousy, imagining if we had that much space to ourselves.
So 60 Days In is what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
We'd
watch it.
never need to fight anyone or worry about them throwing drunk people back here with us.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I will get to that a little bit more in a second. Actually, we can talk about it right now. Threat to national security.
Yeah.
Reality winner is in a county jail cell. And basically, from the sounds of it, the only female jail cell in this local county.
Why do I know Fulton County?
Because Fulton County is where Atlanta is, but she's not in Fulton County. That's where 60 Days In is filmed.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
She's in Lincolnton County.
Right. Okay.
Which is rural Georgia.
Gotcha.
And so that means if like someone's drunk sometimes they get thrown in there. She
That's
shares a story.
insane.
I'm just going to jump down to this
Yeah.
part so I can say it the way I wanted to write it.
Say it the way you wanted to say it.
Yep, thank you.
Yep.
We're going to hear more from Reality in a minute. And Maya, if you have the time, you can now read the emails she sent us. It includes details of a wild evening when local law enforcement imprisoned a woman who was experiencing a dangerous psychotic episode after being arrested in a dumpster. Reality writes some very compelling stuff around how poorly our prison system handles those experiencing mental distress or illness. She also shares a ghost story connection she has to the Titanic and her fear of the ocean.
Can we read that on next week's
I'll let you
episode?
make the call.
Okay,
It was
cool.
like, I was like, there's no way I can fit this into the stream. Like, it is really
Reality,
good.
I see
But
you.
it's so different from this entire story. I'm like, but so I wrap it up with this one line from that section that is too good not to share with you all. And this is again directly from Reality winner herself. Quote, "The Titanic is my Roman Empire. But having taken AP Latin in high school, the Roman Empire is also my Roman Empire. I am both gay and male, apparently." I thought you'd enjoy that. I thought that was pretty good. I thought that was pretty funny.
I want you to wear a t-shirt that says I am both
Gay
gay,
and
and
male.
male, apparently.
I love it too because I'm the butchest of the gays, you know?
I want a graphic
yes,
of the
100%.
Roman Empire on the Titanic.
Good.
You know?
Well, actually, graphic of the Roman Empire and then in the Mediterranean, Titanic.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it's not where she sank. Okay, hold on. Okay, back. And now I'm jumping up a couple paragraphs. Pause. This is back to Grant's voice. No, for real. Her like conversation about like I'm in this one room and we're watching 60 Days In and it feels like I'm watching. She's like, I feel like I'm watching HGTV.
Yeah.
I'm like, these people are like living in mansions. Look at how big everything is.
yeah.
Yes. And then she at the end goes, eventually we banned 60 Days In because it was like serving double jail time because you're in jail watching jail.
Wait, okay, so I'm
And go
assuming 60 Days In is like people have to spend 60 days in like these kind of
Or they're
horrible,
incarcerated.
yeah,
I haven't seen it myself, but
conditions.
yeah, like
That's
they are
the gist. Okay.
incarcerated and they're maybe following
Okay.
it some kind.
I just want to make sure so that everyone knows.
Her description was we stopped watching it because no one wants to serve, and this is now, and I quote, double ass jail
Yeah.
time. And I was,
Last jail.
hell yeah, babes. Hell yeah. Okay.
It's like 000, double O ass.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. So back to Grant's voice.
Yeah.
Reality winner was charged under the Espionage Act.
Jesus Christ.
She was considered legally a spy against the U.S. government.
That's insane.
And we held her in a county jail.
Did she ever consider, and I'm asking on behalf of Victor Lustig, to escape pretending to be a window washer?
No, I did not hear any of that in her emails
Well.
with me or my research.
That's wild.
Yeah, so she's in a county jail, and it's like, are you a drunk teenager? Go spend the night with espionage,
Like at least
head spy,
yeah,
reality winner.
give her the respect of putting her somewhere that's like quote unquote inescapable.
Right.
I mean, like, we're happy that you didn't end up in that situation, reality, but like,
And then this is a really
Doesn't
interesting
add up.
too that I like kind of love that I get to like
Yeah.
incorporate into this moment. As if that wasn't bad enough, soon the COVID pandemic hit.
oh God.
Living conditions inside U.S. prisons are already subpar. And by the U.S. government's own admission, through the Pandemic Oversight and Accountability Committee, the effects of the pandemic were felt especially hard by those incarcerated because of the poor hygiene facilities provided them and overcrowding forced into the prisons. In July of 2020, reality winner contracted COVID. Because she had become a national name by that point, news agencies reported on it. And in doing so,
So fucked up.
reality winner's infamy helped bring attention to the fact that 500 women had contracted COVID at the Texas facility reality had been transferred to.
Oh my God.
It's just, I mean, in like the legacy of her life, it's just like almost footnote.
Yeah.
But yeah, like her infamy,
because she was in
right,
this,
gets the word out of like, hey, literally hundreds of women in here are sick and they're not taking care of us. And the prison systems, again, by the U.S. government's own admissions, the U.S. prison systems will see some of the highest mortality rates from COVID and almost universal transmission when it gets into a facility.
Jesus. So is this the same facility that she was in when she was watching 60 Days In?
No. So she
Okay,
spends
so
a
she
lot
was
of time in
transferred there.
Lincolnton.
Okay.
And then she gets transferred to, and I think this facility in Texas was supposed to be a little bit kinder to her, but also she has respiratory issues, which is why COVID is this huge
It's a
deal.
big issue for her.
Yeah. And at the time when she contracted it, it was a dangerous like thing. I mean, obviously it was dangerous to everyone's health, but she had a couple of things that made it incredible, like especially dangerous for her. Yeah. And I want you to remember why she's there.
Yeah.
And what she's like, what she did that
she
ended up there.
genuinely thought she was like, I don't know, like, it's not that she's intentionally like, I'm going to help the American people. It's like, this is fucked up that the government isn't saying this.
So I had planned on wrapping up that section with the Titanic Roman Empire gay male, apparently. And now there's like no
good transition.
Right. So now I'm like, a do after prison. You asked good questions, and I was like, well, let me go ahead and share it with you real quick. And now I'm like, oh, shit, should have
I feel
stuck
like
to the
rightfully I need to make a graphic of the Roman Empire and the Titanic in the same place.
Honestly, I will post it in my room, my classroom. It's
I'll
me.
figure it out.
That's who I am.
Artists that are on the line, you can probably do a better job than I do, but I'll try.
The good ones I will let Maya read even. So that's exciting. I control the email.
Yeah, because I haven't been.
She does all the work, but I control the money. You know, real 1950s kind of work.
You don't know how much money we have in any of our accounts right now.
I don't even know how to log into any.
Yeah, I know.
I think my dad at one point was like, "Oh God, sorry, we're pausing again." I think my dad at one point was like, "Yeah, like if your mom died, like I have no idea where the money is." I don't think that's fully true. I think it was hopefully mostly sarcastic. But that's us. That's us.
I think my parents are probably the same way.
Also, second.
Yeah.
Great. Oh, hi.
Oh,
hi.
hello.
My dad.
Yeah.
My father.
Yeah.
Greg texted me the other day, and he goes, "Hey, just out on my little hot girl walk here. Thought I'd let you know." That's exactly what my reaction was. Because he just got to the part where I was like, no one has more time for a hot girl walk than my dad. How are you not listening to your son's podcast? And he was out on a hot girl walk, listening to the podcast. And he immediately, and listen, you can, like, even without an emoji, you can read a boomer's emotion in their text.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, he knows he ate that up.
That's
like, reading this message from Greg.
good.
So many of my messages from Greg are like, turn right here. My dad once sent me a picture of a paper map that he had then drawn a highlighted route on that he wanted me to follow, thinking that would be more convenient for me than just the address. Like, my dad is a boomer. I want to make sure that's clear. But when he's a girl, he eats, he knows. He knows.
Did you ask him if he's been thinking about what made him laugh recently?
No, but I will.
Who might be mad at him?
I will. Yeah. Oh, yeah, if he's existential about all of it. Okay. So let's talk about Reality Winner After Prison. And there's actually, there's a gem here that you're going to love.
Okay, I'm excited.
Okay. It's important to note that even Reality Winner acknowledges the day that she broke the law. That acknowledgement is part of her plea deal. That is what I'm referring to. I'm not saying what she personally thinks. I'm not saying she has the ability to share what she personally thinks. I'm saying legally on the record, she acknowledges she broke the law.
Yes.
That acknowledgement, that's what he just said. And I'm not necessarily trying to disagree with her either. She did. But her story, her actions, raise more than just conversation of like, what's moral isn't always legal, right? The government probably should, or probably can, make an understandable argument as to why it needs to keep some things secret.
Yeah.
The debate coach in me is always ready to run a counter argument. And that is my cross to bear.
Play devil's advocate.
And I've always said that. And you were there when I first said it.
Yep. That's your right.
I even
As
wrote
an American?
it. I even wrote
serious?
it. No, I'm not even joking because I love you. Because I love you. And I know in this moment when I'm in this chair, sometimes I get so into the story. I got to pre-write these jokes. A lot of the crazy stuff That's top ahead, babes. That's overflowing from the brim of the cup without anyone trying to catch it. But the office jokes, the long-running bits,
Yeah.
that gets written
Those
in.
are written in
When
because
you go
otherwise
through-
you'll forget.
Right,
Yeah,
right. And then
I
you'll
do
be
the
driving
same
home and be
thing.
like, "Oh, God damn it,
I didn't say it. Or I'll like, I have to say that next week, and then I never
You and
do.
I have both been burned from the, there's no way I forget to make that joke,
Yes.
and then 100% did.
Yep.
Okay, but for real, even wrote that part because I knew we would divulge. I knew I would share it, and then we'd have some kind of conversation. So I wrote, okay,
Good.
but for real,
Good.
I love us.
Good.
Never change. Okay, but for real, the government probably can present an understandable case as to why it needs to be able to keep secrets, especially in the arena of national security.
Yeah.
But a huge part of that argument, at least in my opinion, is that the government is democratically elected.
Yeah.
That we allow the government to hold secrets because it is
Because we
still
trust them.
responsible to us as the people. Yes.
We hired them.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we hired them through a free and fair
Fair
election without foreign influence.
Just like
Right.
such a good point,
That
Grant.
it
It's so
I'm
good.
overwhelmed by gratitude right now.
It's just like such a solid point.
Don't hit me with that. We've had 2 whiskey cokes. But like, no, that's like the whole crux of the issue is that like, yeah, like you
Like,
can
yes.
keep things secret, and yeah, probably better that I don't know what's happening in some areas. But I trust you with those secrets because
Because,
I
yeah.
hired you through a process that has to be legitimate, and that needs to stay sacred.
Yeah.
And what Reality Winner did was
Protected
point
that.
out, yes, was protect that, was point out that that whole system, the act of trust between government and the people, was violated,
Yeah.
or at least potentially.
Yeah.
Like the document she shared was like that they tried, not even
Yeah.
that they necessarily succeeded, but that there was an attempt, and that's what she shared.
Yeah.
What Reality Winner leaked was proof that there is a chance that it wasn't a free and fair election.
Yeah.
That the thing that grants the government our trust was tampered with, and that the government knows it.
And wasn't sharing it.
Correct. And since she leaked the document in 2017, the government that knows it is ran by the candidate that benefited from that tampering.
Yeah.
I mean, President Trump had just fired the director of the FBI, in part because he wouldn't stop an investigation into the very thing Reality Winner leaked about.
Yeah.
I honestly, personally, do think that she deserves a pardon. And pardon me. So thank you.
That was a fucking Frozen joke from DLFS.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. And pardon me.
We do such a good job of being so serious in adult face.
Yeah.
And then we're like, ah. No, but for
She deserves to wear the pardon me shirt that
Yes.
Patty Hearst wore.
well, and there's an element too where it's like she, if you believe she owed a debt to society because of her actions, she served it, babe. She served it longer than anyone's ever served that debt. And there is no giving Reality Winner that time back or the experiences she had, some of which was clearly traumatic.
Yeah.
I'm not like getting into that,
Yeah.
but like, I mean,
Clearly she had some.
there's a night
yeah.
they had to lock themselves into like a small room because someone having a dangerously psychotic episode was trying to smear human medical grade feces on everybody. And that's just like kind of tip of the iceberg.
What's medical grade feces?
I don't know.
versus
It's just
not
kind of
medical
it just kind of adds like a couple more chili peppers to
Okay,
it.
cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I had to question
But
it.
like God damn
Because
it.
someone would have come at me being like,
And I
why
just
didn't
had
you
added
say
a few
anything
chili
about that?
peppers to
Yeah.
it.
Okay, the chili peppers comment I fully understood.
Thank you.
It was
just
the
makes it feel
medical
spicier.
grade.
It makes it all like it just adds a heat
It adds,
to
but
it.
it also doesn't make any fucking
Like
sense.
we fucking locked her into an institution that gave her COVID, and then we're
Yeah.
like, oh, hope you don't die from it.
Yeah.
Enemy of the state. She has served her debt to society.
did, yeah.
She's not imprisoned anymore. I don't think necessarily she ever needed to be in prison.
Yeah, I agree.
House arrest, some kind of consequence. Sure, maybe, but
Parole.
right.
Yeah.
Who is the question is who is less safe because of what reality did and who is more safe because of what reality did. No one died because of what reality did. And our elections today are safer because of things that people like reality did.
Yeah. Jesus.
So she deserves a pardon. Also,
And also, like, all the
Oh, yeah.
love in the world, reality, at least from us.
yeah.
Jesus.
And one final thing. It's not like the information she shared was false.
Yeah.
It's not like the information she shared was 2 weeks before an election and tampered with the result of an election.
It
You
happened
couldn't-
after.
Right.
Yeah.
You couldn't actually have been for, I mean, the the midterms were in 2018, right?
Yeah.
And she's leaking this in March, April, May of 2017, right? A
He's
whole
already
year
in
and a half.
office. Yeah.
He's in office. There's not another election coming up. She's worried about the elections. People are asking for proof for tampering. She knows the government's not going to reveal it. She believes the American people deserve to know it. And so she leaks it. And we today know that what she leaked was true.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just you and I and individuals and all of us listening to left-leaning podcast. Most Secretary of States at the state level now have plans to try to prevent foreign interference.
Because of this.
The U.S. federal government has now acknowledged what she leaked. And the U.S. federal government today, in 2024, has a plan to monitor and counteract Russian interference that is more publicly available than it was in 2016. And all of that can be tied back to, at least in part, the conversations that Reality Winner started and then served years in prison for starting.
I have goosebumps again. Grant, you did such a good job.
Thank you, because
Or
you're
are doing such a good job.
because this next part's gonna blow your
Jesus.
mind. No, you should get
Are
excited.
you talking about how she listens to our podcast? Because that is actively blowing my mind.
No, but there's so many more good gems.
Okay.
Like, we're getting towards the end, but
Okay.
there are some good gems. Okay, so this next section is comparing to other spies. Maya, do you remember the episode you did
Yeah.
on Maria Butina?
I did not cover Maria Butina.
Yeah, you did.
I covered Anna Chapman.
Oh, shit. Was that who you covered? Yeah. This was added like 3:55 today.
Okay.
It was like last couple
I'll
minutes.
pretend I covered Maria
I
Butina
swear
if
to
you want.
God you
It was
covered
Anna
it.
Chapman.
Okay, but hold on. Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
How much time did Anna Chapman get?
I don't think she got time.
Right.
Yeah.
Maria Butina.
She got extradited. She might have spent some time, but it was like pre-trial, and then she was extradited back
Right.
to Russia.
Maria Butina, a different Russian spy, a literal Russian spy,
Mm-hmm.
who was arrested in 2018 for acting as a unregistered foreign agent in the United States on behalf of Russia. She got 18 months.
That's
compared
so
to
cute.
6-year Air Force veteran Reality Winner who got 5 years
Like
and
an
3
actual
months.
Russian spy.
Right.
Good God.
Or let's talk about good old Donald Trump himself.
Who is actively trying to stay out of prison by
Right.
becoming president?
On May 10th, 2017. So before Reality Winner leaks her stuff to The Intercept, on May 10th, 2017, Trump disclosed classified information to the Russian government representatives, creating a political and security concerns within the United States and its allies. Soon after the meeting between Trump and Russian representatives, American intelligence had to extract a high-level covert source from within the Russian government because of the concerns that individual was now at risk, in part because of the repeated mishandling of classified intelligence by Trump and his administration. Other questionable behaviors during his presidency have included Trump's sharing of national security information on social media and private disclosures,
Cute.
both known and unknown. During Trump's tenure as president, lax security at his Florida resort Mar-a-Lago was a cause of concern because of the uncontrolled flow of guests and events at the resort. A concern that endured post-presidency because Trump retained classified documents after leaving office, and he retained them in a bathroom.
Which is actually insane.
Right. No prison sentence for those kind of things.
And he wasn't even driving a Nissan Cube. Guys.
He's the exact kind of person that for the rest of his life deserves to be passed by a toaster.
I think like nationally we should come up with like ways that aren't jail, but like ways to like embarrass you. You know?
I want him to go to prison so that way we can have a series called Orange is the New Orange. Because he's orange, get it? Because of his
love
bad
that.
tanner.
Yeah.
I'm a creative individual.
You really are.
Thank you. Again, no political career, but that's fine. I'm enjoying this.
That's okay. We didn't need one anyway.
Okay.
It would have just been too stressful for me.
Rap. Yeah,
Okay, fuck
For
you.
you. I mean-
Only I can say that.
not true.
I'll say it again. Watch me.
Okay. So, after prison, Reality Winner has found work is a CrossFit coach
Hell yeah.
and continues to advocate to make the U.S. a better place.
Me and Tyler will come to your class at some point.
Yeah,
Grant
you
won't,
probably
but-
would. No, but I would like drive.
Yeah, you can come like sit in.
Maya, you'll appreciate this. Coming from an article from the Rolling Stones after her release.
Yeah.
This is from Reality Winner. Quote, I built my workout shed right by the side of my horse's pasture. So he's always creeping by. It's one of those moments where it's like, I'm doing deadlifts and I'm petting my horse between sets.
Oh my God.
My life is perfect right now.
Reality.
Like, I hit you with all this great stuff and it gets you like your hackles up and you're all like, hell yeah. And then I hit you with this stuff too at the end.
I'm jealous of that experience. I want to do deadlifts and then go and pet my horse.
When I found it, I was like only halfway through my research and I like specifically copied that section and I was like, I'll find a way to incorporate it. Like, I don't know where it's going to go yet, but I'm just going to incorporate
I'm like
that.
tearing up a
I'm
little.
sure you are.
So beautiful.
Admittedly, I, Grant Thomas, feel like we failed Reality Winner.
Yes.
The Intercept failed to keep her anonymous. The public failed to heed her warning. Our understanding of Russian interference today doesn't include proper credit to what Reality Winner leaked or the cost she paid for doing it. And when it was first leaked, the late night shows and news outlets, instead of turning a harsh gaze to what she leaked, mocked the name her father gave her. So what was the incentive for breaking the law? She shared it trying to remain anonymous. So I asked her, and this is our final section.
Grant! I'm gonna cry.
Grant, you were trying to remain anonymous when you first leaked information to The Intercept. That anonymous act has now made you the exact opposite of anonymous. How did you first handle that sudden, intense publicity? And has that changed or evolved over time? I'm struck by the fact that you specifically didn't want to be a public face for this, and this is not what fate had in store. Reality Winner. So you are right. The last thing I ever wanted was the story to be about who I was and not what was given to the people. The Intercept, the journal I sent it to, did me dirty. The guy was on a first-name basis with someone at NSA, and he gave him the document back in its entirety, so the FBI found me immediately. Then The Intercept wasn't even going to publish the document, but they got tipped by their friends that the press conference for my arrest was about to take place, so they published it about 30 minutes before my name was given to the media. Then, until my release, they pretended to champion me as their martyr, and so I started shit-talking them after my release. I was the first of 3 government sources that was arrested and convicted between 2017 and 2020. They fucked over Daniel Hale, and they fucked over Terry Albury. The media has always taken the low-hanging fruit instead of what the whole thing is actually about. I failed epically. Grant, you've now been played by Sydney Sweeney and Amelia Jones in separate movies. Is it disorienting to see yourself played by famous Hollywood actors? Did you get a chance to interact with them when they were shooting the movie? A common icebreaker question is, who would play you in a movie? And you now have lived that question. Any fun anecdotes? Reality Winner. I do not watch or read about myself because of the trauma of seeing myself on the local news from that county jail cell. The news outlets would just parrot what the prosecutor said, whether or not it was true.
Brief trigger warning for mentions of suicide.
That's one of the reasons I contemplated suicide. I'm sorry, I should have given you a content warning there. We can do a content warning in the edits. That's one of the reasons why I contemplated that, because I couldn't see a future after this. So even though a movie is made by someone who cares about me, if anything is not factual, I'm right back in that jail cell having a visceral reaction to what I'm seeing. I knew there were movies, and my first request was from Amy Schumer. My first request was Amy Schumer, then John Cena. We are practically twins, but John would probably blow the budget. Amelia is my soulmate. She came to my house, and I love her. At Sundance this year, the paparazzi were begging her to get photos of her alone, and she wouldn't let me go, and she didn't care that they kept getting mad about it. She really cares about people. I only zoomed with Sydney, but she seemed so smart and genuine. I hate that the role didn't give her any positive attention. They won't even list it as one of her films. It's embarrassing for me as a masculine person to know that her friends hate the film because her tits weren't out. I hate that for her. It's actually really triggering as someone recovering from an eating disorder to hear that actresses are trying to gain weight to play you, but can't because they have a role after the film that they can't change their weight for. Amelia was so kind about that. She turned into a weightlifting freak and did what she could, considering that a month after filming, she was playing a teenage girl. I don't get too into it or let it get to my ego. I hate Lifetime movies based on real women because the actress is a gorgeous size 2 and the real woman is not. That's so degrading. Just cast someone that looks like her and stop trying to make everything sexy. Okay, I'm off my soapbox now. So, why do I share this story in Con Me Once? Because this is the only crime Reality winner has ever been convicted of. She only conned once. And as a final note from me, Reality, thank you for reaching out to us, for being a part of our little Will I Laughed community, and for trusting us with your lived experience. You deserved better. And I hope the rest of your life is as uneventful as you want it to be.
Oh my God.
And so the title of this episode is Winners and Losers.
Oh my God.
Because we're the losers who failed her.
I'm unwell right now.
You're
I've never fully cried.
You're
on
literally
an
crying in the club
episode.
right now.
I'm fucking crying in the club right now. Oh my God. Grant.
Thank you.
Jesus.
Not 5 hours, but I think I did a decent job.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Reality, for trusting us with this story. I don't know if you'll listen to this,
Right.
fully
Considering everything.
understanding
Right.
that you might not, but thank you, Grant,
Yeah.
for going full investigative journalist. Jesus Christ.
Admittedly, a role I have probably messed up in some ways and have a lot of imposter syndrome around, but I felt
You
like
did such a
Reality
good
gave us
job.
some grace on it. And yeah, thank you.
Jesus Christ. I just have a lot of thoughts and literally crying in the club right now.
Yeah. I'll say this as she collects herself.
Yeah.
I really do think that, in the way that the system is set up today, to be a true patriot of your country oftentimes means you have to be adversarial of it.
Mhm.
And I think something that we lose is this idea, maybe we never had it. I don't know. In a way I'm old, in a way I'm not old enough to really kind of comprehend things. I don't know if we've ever been good as a community at fully openly criticizing our government when it falls short of things.
Mhm.
But I think those who take risks to push us to be better ultimately get proven right. And I think we can look at this upcoming election and we can know that no one's thanking Reality for making our election safer,
Mhm.
but they are.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be credit that she gets. But I think that's deeply patriotic, which probably shouldn't be a surprise because unlike most Americans, she served in the armed forces
Yeah.
and worked to keep American soldiers safe.
She's proved it
Yeah.
also. I have a lot of thoughts about Reality that I think Grant did a better job of vocalizing. I think it's just
Oh, I had a lot more time with the story.
Yeah.
I'm hitting you with this emotional bomb here at the end.
okay, words, Maya, words.
Remember her horse?
I know that's what started to make me cry at first. And then it was bam,
Mm.
bam, bam, Sydney Sweeney and misogyny. Bam, what's the other actress's name?
Amelia Jones.
Amelia Jones, and being so kind and her experience with that, and the fact that she's still so caring of the people around her,
Yeah.
and how she's portrayed, and so active in like all of the issues that we still face, regardless of if they're like political or not. She's not like, we have bigger issues to face than like Sydney Sweeney's boobs, and like arguably.
And also, I mean, you
but
and I have had the chance. I mean, someone made beautiful fan art for us this week, and like trying to sit in like the joy of like seeing like an essence of myself like portrayed, and not focusing on the like, God, I wish I looked taller, like this was different, or that I was thinner in some way, or like, you know, whatever, right? Like, to see yourself portrayed even a little bit is tough, but to see yourself then portrayed like in this national media environment that has never been kind to you, and to then continue to lean into that environment because your story is important enough to share.
And not just appreciate the publicity, but like acknowledge the fact that some of that publicity could be problematic, and like continuing to fight for that is like insanely admirable. Like I get overwhelmed when I have too many episodes to edit and like
a sensation I've never experienced.
Grant's like, Maya did something on the Instagram again. And now I have to respond to shit. I was just like kept thinking about the fact that there was one time where I was like, I want to start a podcast, and there's this funny guy I know, and now we're here. I just feel very honored right now.
Yeah, it just feels really cool to be here.
Just need to chug this beer.
It's a nice. It's the podcast to have an audience to listen to. The fact that, I mean, you and I in our private conversations have a really hard time contextualizing our gratitude around how many people have chosen to join us and listen to us and send things in.
Yeah.
And feel comfortable enough calling us out when we say something wrong.
Yeah.
But to have a listener base wide enough to get someone as interesting and complex as reality to be like, hey, I'd love to share with you. Because your email isn't about any of this stuff. Like a good 51% of the email is actually the ghost connection to the Titanic.
Well, I've seen like the first few lines of a couple emails, and I've been like, okay, it's an email from that same person that's been emailing us a couple times, and Grant's talking to them.
And
anyway,
it's me
there's a
doing
ghost.
investigative journalism. I keep being like, Maya, don't look at it, because I'm like writing follow-ups. I'm literally at work in between. This happened like a week ago. I was at work. A kid asked me a question, and I went, and I pulled out my phone and I typed out one of the questions into my phone, and I was like, sorry, that just reminded me of something. What was your question, kiddo?
Even reality aside, and like the absolute insanity of that story, like every time any one of you sends in any kind of story, no matter how small, I'm like, you wanted to share that with us and trusted us with that story, and that like, even if you say at the end, like, don't tell anybody, or like, don't read this aloud on a podcast, or don't share my name or whatever, it's just like so wild to know that there are people out there that like listen. And every time I come across someone that, like, I came across someone at Mine's Homecoming this week that I hadn't seen in a couple years. I was like, I listened to all your podcasts. I was listening to one on the way here, and it's like weird for me, but it's also so like, weird. That's crazy that people listen and trust us, and I'm just like so appreciative for all of you and all of the full rich lives that you live, and I'm so appreciative for Reality Winner, and I'm not drunk. I swear to God.
Honestly, there was not a lot of time for breaks. Like, you and I would get into some of this stuff.
Jesus.
And I am laughing too, because there is definitely a couple people who potentially had the same kind of reaction to the end of the story that you did.
Yeah.
But then looked at their like phone and saw like 8 more minutes and were like, what? What's going on?
Wait, what?
And it's you and I just being like,
thank you so much. I love you.
So, do you want to do the speech or the title?
No, I think you do the speech and the title.
Great, I can do that.
Okay.
Hey, y'all. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I am now experiencing a lot of imposter syndrome about what story I might possibly tell you next. And that's okay. That's a good place to live and exist. We thank you for joining us on this journey, for listening to us. We encourage you to look more into any of the people that we've discussed. If you're looking to find us on social media, you can find us there as Well I Laughed Podcast. If you're looking to email us, we are welilaughedpod@gmail.com. If you want me to do an investigative journalism thing into your life, please create a really like head fake subject line so that way Maya doesn't see it.
Or just email me instead.
No,
That's all I'm saying.
it's mine. It's my corner now. It's mine.
I'm the one that listens to investigative journalist podcasts.
And I'm the investigative journalist.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Actually, super fair. I'm really good at listening.
And if you want more of whatever that was, you can find us on Patreon, where we are Well I Laughed Podcast. Hey y'all. Thanks.
Okay, bye. Love you.
I want more cherry Coke.